righty, folks. Welcome on into your Friday stream with Mike from PA with his still broken sub goal. Isn't that annoying, chat? Isn't that annoying? We're at 6747. Ugh. You hate to see it. Anyway, welcome on in, everybody. It is Friday, May 9th, 2025. My birthday week is coming to an end. You hate to see it. How is everybody doing today? We have some bangers to discuss. Today. Apparently, Denims has sent Ethan Klein a cease and desist letter demanding a retraction on his accusation that she was behind the CPS call, and is currently doing a fundraiser to effectuate the legal necessities. I personally think that she has a very good case, right? I think she has a very good case. A lot of the attacks on me have been either extremely old, reheated Republican talking points from literally 2013, 2014, or they've just been kind of insults. Nothing, I can't really think. I mean, unless you guys have evidence, because I don't watch his stream. I would love to see the averments of fact about me, right? The averments of fact would be very, very important. With Denims, he literally intentionally lied, edited her words. He lied about her chat, and then when he was called out by his own crew, he moved his camera in front of the real chat so he could show a manufactured chat, so he could push the narrative that she was responsible for the CPS call. He said so many defamatory things. Chat GBT lawyers fans saying yeah, it's very funny. So we are gonna definitely be talking about that. The consensus about the new American Pope is people are kind of wish casting the idea that he is a never Trump Republican. Yeah, her fundraiser is on ethankleinlied.com. She's already raised $28,000, which is awesome. And like, I think the 150K goal, which is, hey, oh my goodness gracious, Scott Princess with the 25 bomb. Let's fucking go. Chat, you want to do a hype train to start the stream? How expensive is our lawyer? I mean, lawyers on these type of cases charge by the hour, and you could easily end up in, $50,000 legal bill before you even get to trial. That's not unheard of. When poor people sue, usually it's when lawyers are paying for everything. Like, usually what happens when poor people are suing rich people is the poor people have extremely strong cases, and they're suing rich people who definitely have the money. And when lawyers pay for their own, for everything, and basically just take a percentage of the win, that's usually when poor people sue. Like this kind of case, no lawyer is going to like pay for this. You know what I mean? Like the lawyer isn't going to be like, I'll take contingency on your defamation case, because these are seen as lower probability or just more risky in general, even if you have a strong case. And she also said, that she will refund it. If she doesn't actually sue, this is only going to go toward legal fees, and anything that doesn't go to legal fees will be refunded, according to Denims. If he retracts, this GoFundMe will be refunded. If he doesn't retract, this GoFundMe is for legal fees to hold him responsible for his lies. There you go. What damages can Denims demonstrate? Oh, that would be very easy. For example, Ethan Klein and Dan Saltzman have worked hard to try to attack advertisers on Twitch. And you could demonstrate, most of us have had to stop running ads on political content on Twitch. We could easily demonstrate, tens of thousands of dollars in direct economic damages that could be cognizably linked to this. That being said, for me and Denims in particular, fighting Ethan Klein has been some of the best things ever for our career, just from a viewpoint standpoint. But from an income standpoint, we can still demonstrate damages. And then the other thing is defamation per se. If you're doing stuff like accusing people of committing crimes, that's a lie. That is defamation per se. You're just damaging our reputation. And then, there's torturous interference with contracts. There is intentional infliction of emotional distress, which apparently Ethan Klein doesn't understand because he's been saying it over and over again about how he wants to ruin her life. And so that's showing clear intent for Torches. You know, like he's just a dumb fuck. Like he keeps committing keeps committing civil infractions and torts. I hit Denims up because a lot of this mirrors my lawsuit against a YouTuber. I mean, yeah, like legitimately. I mean, I feel like there's a lot. Like I feel like I could sue Ethan if I wanted. Assad could sue Ethan. Dan Clancy should sue Ethan. If there's one person who should definitely sue Ethan, it's Dan Clancy. Dan Clancy should fucking sue Ethan Klein. Like I think it's crazy he's not. I think he's wrong. Like I understand why he doesn't want to do it, because he doesn't want to create like a Streisand effect. And how you doing, Alyssa? I was just it's just like I get it, but he's not. At this point, people like Dan Saltzman and Ethan Klein are not going to stop until they're stopped. And because they're not just people that they're obsessed. Like they have a sexual obsession. And it is what it is. Damn Saltman, not Salts. Who gives a fuck? Who cares what his name is? But yes. But to prove that defamation happened, where did it happen? Here, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. This is from yesterday. What's the best title for this? Does anyone have the I might need her VOD. I might need to grab her VOD. I probably should have had that before the stream, but you know how it goes with streaming, you know. You just got to press the go live button. The number one piece of advice I always give people when they stream is, do you stream when you're uncomfortable? Do you stream when you don't feel like streaming? Are you consistently live at the same time every fucking day? Or, you know, a significant portion of the week that is purely predictable, that a person knows it's this time on this day, I click the Central Committee stream, Mike's going to be there. If you're not able to deliver that level of consistency, it's going to be very, very hard for you to succeed. Very, very hard for you to succeed. The number one most important thing is consistency, literally. Now, it doesn't mean that's enough. There's plenty of people that stream a lot and no one watches them because they suck at streaming and they don't provide any content and they don't have a niche. Second piece of advice is have a compelling niche. You don't want it to be overly narrow, but you also don't want it to be overly broad. Broad is you get to be broad when you're already successful. You don't get to start broad. These are all things people don't understand, but it is what it is. And they think this stuff is like basic advice, but then they never listen to it and they don't do it. That's the thing that's really funny to me. Newark had another blackout today. Let me know when you cover India, Pakistan. Yeah. I need to catch up on all of the. I'm going to be doing a discovery on the India, Pakistan like events because I, honest to God, haven't really paid too much attention to it because there's just so much going on that I may have actually exceeded my bandwidth recently for paying attention to too many stories. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, it is arguably the most important story. I think it's because I feel like the India-Pakistan situation is very similar to the Russia-Ukraine situation where my mind just rebels against it because it's so fucking stupid and so insane that I can't believe that it would happen. It's like one of those things where it's like, you're a nuclear power fighting another nuclear power. Like, what do you think is going to come out of this? Like, what do you think is going to, what is going to be the outcome that you think you're going to get? And the Chinese are also not going to let Pakistan get defeated either. You know what I mean? So like, what is India's end game? There's no end game. It's just like Modi stirring up his base, unless he's actually insane, which of course he could be. Oh yeah, I saw that too. I saw that kid saying "Long live India, long live Pakistan." The nationalists were like, "What's your name? We're gonna go after you." No, India is bombing Kashmir right now. Yeah, I know. Modi is fucking batshit. Anyway, okay. Let's talk about this denim shit, and then we'll boot up. We're booting up still. I haven't had any of my caffeine. Oh, did she make a YouTube over it? Oh, thank God.
I wanted to show you guys this.
Can't believe I felt bad for you. By the way, Anissa reached out. She wants to meet at the Motel 6 tonight at 11.
Excuse me?
Because
Ethan Klein is a fucking disgusting rat. Ethan Klein is a fucking disgusting rat. And I think, you know, speaking as, like, if you say this type of shit about someone's wife or girlfriend, call me old fucking fashioned, but if they lay you the fuck out, that would be fighting words. It would be understandable. It would be like an understandable Like, I don't think any jury would convict you. I'm not saying they should. Violence is wrong and I don't support it. I'm just saying we would all understand it, because you can't act this way towards somebody's partner. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? It's not funny either. I think they're trying to say iDubbbz is a cuck because he's dating a strong woman. And it's like, Ethan Klein, have you looked at yourself? You get led around the fucking room by Gila. Like, what are you talking about?
Because I'm gonna fuck him for her? Because she's the cuck? No good?
Can we get some wilds in the chat? I have a new Dan emote. I saw some AB streams last night. I think they peaked out at a couple hundred viewers. Welcome to the streaming game, son. You'll get there one day. Pathetic.
Okay, Ian?
Him.
Right.
Anissa reached out to me.
You know, the first time that you made the Anissa the cuck joke, it hit
what
really
happened?
good.
Well,
and
what
I feel like each subsequent one we're getting further and further.
What was wrong with the one with that?
This is why I don't like Dan. Like, I think a lot of people like Dan because of this shit, but it's like, that's why you shouldn't like Dan. He is PR for Ethan. You're seeing PR. You're seeing public relations. You're seeing HR. They're not on the side of good. They're on the side of evil, trying to lie for it and cover it up. So when people are like, wow, look at how Dan interrupted him. Yes, that's H3, HR, and PR. You're falling for it.
I thought that
it just sounded weird. Kind of creepy.
Well, it is. That's her thing. I wasn't going to show up, by the way.
What is he even talking about? What is he even talking about? Like, legitimately, what the fuck is he even talking about?
Oh, you can't see my cursor. Hold up. Let me.
Anissa has an OnlyFans. That's literally it.
Whatever. You can't see my cursor, but I have this. What's he looking at? Ah, why did my fucking thing just disappear? Okay. What's he looking at?
What a fucking disgusting rat.
Trying to resist the button. The joke didn't land.
What was wrong with the one with that? I thought that
it just sounded weird. Kind of creepy.
Yeah,
Well,
it's one thing to say, like, again, every single time guys like this talk about women on the internet, especially those who have done any kind of sex work, it's like, Ethan Klein, you did a whole video about how you were sexually attracted to a 17-year-old terrorist victim. Like, what are you talking about, you fucking disgusting piece of shit?
Well, it is. That's her thing. I wasn't going to show up, by the way.
Okay.
I was gonna send fake Ethan.
Jewish.
It is really the Green Goblin mask. The button calls to him like the ring to Gollum. Forget about the ring. It's the Green Goblin mask, dude. That's how it calls to him. He's like, I need to press the button. I need to press it. Do it, coward. That's what it tells him, dude. That's what it tells him. Oh, God. It's giving this.
Or whatever, right? Our Neanderthal cousins were probably just raping like crazy. So there's definitely something like in us to like conquer. Men want to like conquer.
Right.
So it's, you know, women are in a nature setting like to be conquered.
If a man says something like that to you in a conversation, you are totally within your rights to knock the beanie off his head.
I believe I felt bad for you.
And
By the way, Anissa reached out. She wants to meet at the Motel 6 tonight at 11.
Excuse me?
Because I'm going to fuck him for her? Because she's the cuck? No good?
Okay, Ian?
Him.
Right.
Anissa reached out to me.
You know, the first time that you made the Anissa the cuck...
Every time I see like old Ethan Klein, like core Ethan Klein content, I'm always like, why did you guys like this guy in the first place? He's not funny. He's disgusting. It's like Asmongold shit. Like, this is where I'm generally a pretty optimistic person, and I am not misanthropic. But when I start seeing Ethan Klein content or Asmongold content or Tectone content, and I think that they have any popularity at all, or Andrew Tate, then I kind of understand why some of you guys are misanthropic. Because if you see these people getting popular, you're like, oh, then humanity just has to be fucking evil. Like I get it. Like, I get why people become misanthropic, because these people are so irredeemable and talentless and uninteresting. For which to me is the biggest crime. It's just like, he's not funny. Nobody was laughing in that clip. People were just sitting there off put. Fallen H3 fans deserve to be shamed. Speaking as someone who did miss a live for 2 years, I mean, You should just become a Mike from PA fan and redeem yourself.
Joke.
Well,
it hit really good.
Well,
I feel like each subsequent one we're getting further and further.
What was wrong with the one with that? I thought that
it just sounded weird. It kind of creepy.
Well, it is. That's her thing. I wasn't going to show up, by the way.
Okay.
Her thing is messaging men to meet her at a extremely cheap hotel to have sex. That's her thing. This man just loves defamation, huh? He just loves defamation.
So cringe. Oh, I have to say though, he called Anissa baby girl in an Instagram post. He doesn't even have the baby girl pass. I have to say this meme format, guys. I've been people have been having a lot of fun with this. Hila made an Instagram story. Reminder to my haters, out of your league. And she's wearing a t-shirt that says out of your league. Would you think that her being on the internet, as long as she's been on the internet, reminder to my haters. I raided Ramallah. I went to a random Palestinian family's house and went through their stuff and kidnapped a man. Until this day, no one knows what happened to him. It's okay. Even my own husband thinks I'm a terrorist. I will forcefully evict you out of your home.
Wait. I'm still stuck on the first thing. She legitimately posted out of your league with this photo. Girl. No one was saying, what is she talking about? Oh, we got Denims, you got bad and penodified. I mean, I'm pretty sure that, I'm going to say it loud and proud. I was the bad and penada defender. I always defended bad and penada. I never did the, he's unhinged. And yes, he does wrecker shit. But you know what? For some reason, when bad and penada does wrecker shit, it doesn't bother me as much as other people. I don't know why. It's because he's like, I don't know why. It just doesn't bother me when he's like complaining about various people. I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? Like when he's like, Ethan Klein, you know, Hassan fans are blah, 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 blah. I think it's unnecessary. And quite frankly, I think it's stupid on his part. But it just doesn't bother me for some reason. Ethan and Hila are giving middle school I mean, like, but it's not even like, but it doesn't work. Like, to have a clique, you need to have like people that are fun and cool that people want to hang around. Like, you need to be a place where the social milieu is rotating around. Like, you need to have the rich friends with the pools and the beach houses and the ski lodges. You know what I mean? Like, what are we rotating around? Like, what the people who sit in their dog shit stuffed fucking you know, rotten mansion, like with so disgusting that the fucking former housekeeper is suing rather than going back to work. Like, what are we missing out on? What are they doing that's so cool that we all want to be a part of? Nobody gives a shit about Ethan Klein. They don't. The only thing we care about is the fact that this guy is basically serving as the sock puppet of destiny, and he's rapidly narrowing audience. He's defaming us to his rapidly narrowing audience and kind of collecting all the refuse of the internet, putrefying. Like, what the fuck? I mean, honestly, Ethan and Asmongold are natural allies. Asmongold collects the dead rats, and Ethan collects the fucking dog shit, the waste, the fecal matter. Natural allies. Oh my god. This is like, there's like a 40K. There's a 40K fucking meme format. We've got to figure it out. And profiting off of turning a genocide into YouTube slop drama. Here's the reality. My opinion on this whole, like, there's a genocide going on, like, see, the problem with this argument is that Hassan made that argument because he thought that Ethan Klein was a good person that he could reach and kind of go like, hey man, like, I get that you don't like me, but there's a serious thing we both agree on. Why don't we just let bygones be bygones, go our separate ways, and, you know, we focus on more important things. There's nothing important to Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein has nothing, and he supports the genocide. Okay, he's not a good person. So when you reached out to him and said, hey man, there's a genocide going on, there's some more important stuff, why don't we just let bygones be bygones? He doesn't have anything. Yelling at Hassan is all he has. What's he gonna do? Do celebrity poker to 100,000 views? Like, come on. Like I said in Gremlo's chat this morning, thinking about this as drama is like thinking Hulk Hogan and Peter Thiel taking down Gawker was just drama. Well, of course it is. This is an attempt to deplatform some of the most prominent pro-Palestinian voices on Twitch. We are a nexus around So like here's the reality. I'm not going to try to be a self-aggrandizing because I don't think this is just me. I just mean the pro left-wing Twitch and YouTube space is going to be vital in the coming years in American politics. Okay, it's going to be a place where whoever the left-wing candidates are going to get a lot of their energy and are going to get a lot of their earned media and free propaganda. And our space is going to be vitally important to fixing this country, if it even can be fixed. And right now that seems almost wild because it's 2025. It's May of 2025. It's spring of an odd year. You know, who gives a shit about streamers? But the reality is that this is the future of political discussion. It really is. And so the attempts to deplatform us all are an attempt to really rip the heart out of an online left space and leave it only open to the far right. And Ethan Klein and Destiny understand that. They want to be the foils to the far right. They want to do a Hillary Clinton Pied Piper strategy where it's either Asmongold or Destiny. That's the internet they want. They don't want to have myself or Denims and Hassan and Noah Samson and they don't want these people up there as an alternative to the far right because they understand people will pick us over Destiny, over Ethan Klein, over Asmongold. Please go and compare Ethan's subs versus his views. I mean, he's like literally one of the top. I know we've talked about this so many times. I'm even tired of even showing it, but it is important to understand. Like, his show is dying out. Like, he has a daily show. Oh my, what's going on here? H3 podcast. There we go. Like, he has a show that's putting out multiple shows a week and is having negative subscriber growth. Like, the H3 podcast is one of the top most discussed like internet drama content, and it's negative. And his viewership isn't even that good. 13 million. It used to be 30 million with Hassan. Back when Hassan and him were doing leftovers, it was 30 million views back in July of 2023. Now he's down to 13 million, and that's after a rise because he's the top drama content. He's losing 20K, 30K subscribers. He lost 30,000 subscribers in February. 30,000 subscribers, 20,000 in March, another 20,000 in April. I mean, he lost another 30,000 in November. Again, it's just dying out. What can you say? 13 million is still a lot for someone with zero talent. I mean, yeah. I mean, he's like one of the OG YouTubers, okay? He's like one of the first people that had a successful viral video, okay? Like, a lot of this is legacy. A lot of this stuff is nostalgia, and he's destroying that. Assad is the USA Today article. This liberal influencer calls Democrats smug, disinterested. He's right. They're calling him liberal. Republicans say Kamala Harris lost because she was too extreme. What if it's because she wasn't extreme enough? True. Hassan is getting escape velocity, chat. He's getting escape velocity.
Is that on her own Insta? She posted this on her Insta.
Okay,
Big
we're skipping ahead.
Oh, didn't do that. We all deserve someone to look at us the way E looks at the button. You're not wrong. Ethan Klein, it is time to replace your lawyer that can't do shit or retract your claims because I have been inspired. I saw your letter to Noah and I felt inspired. So yesterday at 5 p.m., a letter was sent to him and his lawyer.
You are one of 3 people I know that drinks hint water. It's just boneless juice.
It is boneless juice. And if other people don't want to stand up to you, I am happy to do so. All right. You might want to stop posting about Hassan.
I feel like the pace of the internet just shows you should never lionize your idols on the internet. Okay. This is something I talk about a lot, which is the nature in which people believe things and the brains that we are equipped in as barely evolved great apes. And welcome in, vegetarians, Dig. People like people, and political movements are always built around popular figureheads. And when there isn't a popular figurehead for an idea, the idea tends to languish, even if it's a good idea. So for political movements to work, you need a good idea or a compelling idea. It doesn't even necessarily have to be good, with a figurehead that can stir up the emotions and the parasocial feelings to actually get that idea across the line. Because to get anything done politically, you need people that are like ideological and focused on ideas and policies, as well as normal people who are making a parasocial connection with someone they trust. All right. And that's just how we are. You know, most people are not built like me. I am an ideologue. I believe in ideas and I believe in policies. I do not care about who is saying them. All right. But when I see someone who has charisma, who is compelling, who's good at making arguments, and who is a popular face for my ideas, I support them. And I try to avoid being hypercritical of them. I try to be constructively critical, not hypercritical. And I think a lot of stuff on the internet today is about building your own brand, right? Like every time someone tweets in social media, it isn't just their ideas, it's who says it. Just as in the formulation as I just repeated. And so a lot of people are trying to build up their brand as being the right guy or the most moral guy or whatever the fuck, as opposed to pushing towards some sort of outcome. I like to push toward outcomes. All right. And so my long story short is you're not going to avoid lionization. You're not, if you're being popular, if you're being successful, you're going to have somebody that people are that are fans of. And the only question is whether I throw my support behind someone is, are they worthy of that support? Are they actually worth it? And it's like, for example, I'll give you someone like Hassan. Hassan is somebody who cares about ideas and policies. He is not a clout farmer. He is not a clout shark. That's just objectively reality. How do I know this? Because he supports people that are way outside the mainstream and tries to give them a fair shake. That's not something someone does if they just care about clout alone.
On Piker on your Instagram story, and I don't know, actually
his own medicine.
Address the real shit that's happening in your life. So I got in contact with a lawyer.
Wake up, Ethan.
To issue this demand for a public retraction of false publication. Let me read it to you guys. Dear Mr. Klein, our law firm is legal counsel to social media commentator and content creator Denims. It has come to our attention that in response to an apparent Child Protective Services visit to your home in or around March 2025, you published numerous false statements on your YouTube channels, H3 Podcast and H3 Productions, which reach millions of viewers and listeners, stating either that Denims herself filed the preceding CPS report about you, resulting in the improvident CPS visit to your home, or that Denims caused others to do so.
Can I just say, like, I don't know if the CPS visit was justified or not. I literally wasn't there. All right. Now, obviously, Ethan Klein, the defendant in the CPS case, is going to say that it's improvident. He's going to say that it was unjustified and everything like that. I don't know that. All I know is that CPS investigators went to Ethan Klein's home because they were concerned he was neglecting his children. That's all I know. That's from Ethan Klein. That's the statement of fact. I believe him because why do I believe Ethan Klein that CPS visited his home? Because that's an admission against interest. It doesn't make you look good to have CPS investigating you for neglecting your kids. So I believe Ethan on that, on the basis of it being an admission against interest. Okay. It's bad for his reputation to be known as a guy who has CPS visiting him out of concern that he's neglecting his children. That's all we know. We don't know who made the call. We don't know the details of the conclusions of the investigation. We don't know if there's follow-ups happening or if he's in litigation or anything. We don't know any of that. So I am not going to say it's improvident because I don't know. Now, maybe it'll end up, I tend to think that it may be improvident because nothing as far as I know has happened. But again, how would I know? I would only know that if they tell us. So based on the unreliability of Ethan Klein on most topics, proven liar, the only element here that seems to have any kind of, like, I wouldn't even put improvident because, like, honestly, how do you know?
Among other things you stated, on March 7th, Denims is participating in this CPS lie.
Is streaming.
On March 10th, Denims endorses this clearly, as you can see. She's not moderating this at all, and it's pretty much 100% of the comments saying, call CPS on them, their kids should be taken away. On March 11th.
An admission against interest and an alternate view is that it's like getting swatted. He might assume that people would think a CPS visit was unjustified and thus feel sorry for him. My point is the CPS visit is an established fact. We're going to find out. Doesn't there have to be some evidence in order to actually visit? No way some rando could call CPS and they would just show up without any other reason. Well, I mean, okay, if you are in Child Protective Services and somebody sends you a clip of a video of a man saying that his children, that his animals have giardia, that they're shitting all over the place, and that the babies are at a stage where they're putting everything in their mouth, and now they have this parasite, and now I have this parasite, that in and of itself would be enough to investigate. Especially what Ethan Klein said. Like, Ethan Klein implied, he didn't say this outright, but he implied, put everything in your mouth. He later said you could only get it if you have my poop, if you touch my poop, or something to that effect. So it became a logical chain of inferences and deductions based off of a chain of causality to be like, okay, Ethan Klein says you could only get this parasite if you touch poop. He's, there's a long track record of his dogs pooping indoors and around everybody. 3, he just said the baby is putting everything into their mouth and that they have this parasite. It's not there's no logical leap. Everything is a chain of deduction and inference. There's no logical leap. Everything follows from the premises to the conclusion that people could draw. And that in and of itself could warrant a CPS visit. Now, I'm not saying that people should have called CPS. I certainly am opposed to any kind of CPS call that's unjustified. But to pretend like this was some sort of malicious thing that Denims did is total nonsense.
You repeatedly insinuated that Denims was responsible for the CPS call, labeling her, quote, the real villain of the video. You also stated she has been such a nasty, pathetic, lying, just such a horrible, disgusting person because you believed she was behind the CPS call. This is the obviously retracted version.
It's driving me crazy.
It's driving me crazy. That doesn't contain any sensitive information.
Denims is streaming
on April 18th, making reference to Denims.
Okay, Chad, I need Mike from PA, enemy of the show, as a clip. Watching Denims alerts, I need Mike from PA, enemy of the show, as a clip. Mods! I need that clip right now. I'm getting jealous.
Denims, you
I'm
said,
getting envious.
quote, terrorist sympathizers who support CPS coming and taking my children away. She's directly responsible for CPS coming to my house. She is directly linked to CPS coming to my house, doing what she did.
Of course I do.
Being like, oh, let's call CPS. He's an abuser. He neglects his children. Like, we need to.
Okay, so I work at CPS for 8 years. We have to investigate every report, or we end up in situations like Gabriel Fernandez when children die. Do we get false calls? Yeah, all the time. I'd rather go out and investigate a potentially false call than ignore calls that sound ridiculous and be true and children are being harmed. I mean, first of all, I think Child Protective Services is probably one of the most difficult jobs in the entire country. Like, without a doubt, you're a fucking hero. Number 1. Number 2, sometimes it's not black and white. Like, being in the system is not good for children usually because they're underfunded, because our society is disgusting. They underfund foster care. That being said, sometimes parents have some flaws, but they're not so bad that we need them, that it would be better for the child to take them away from the parents. So sometimes CPS just provides a external motivator or a wake-up call for parents to, like, who are slacking or who are making, like, for example, having a really messy home. That could be something to help counsel or mentor a family to help them get to the level they need to be, where you could use, get social workers in there and have it where they're not like evil people that are criminals, but they're not up to the level they need to be to have a safe and healthy home for the kids, right? So there's gray area here. It's hard to, this is some of the most difficult shit that can exist for government and for society at large, is how much do we intervene in families? What is the minimum standard? How do we, deal with children that aren't being taken care of in a way that society deems to be the legally required minimum? And all that kind of stuff. It's a difficult situation. It's a difficult conversation. There is a historical precedent in which CPS is weaponized against non-white communities. Yeah, there's that element as well. Which is like, who could tell you what is society's expectations of how children are treated, right? What cultural proclivities? A muffin? Vio gave me a muffin. Thank you, Vio. All right, let's keep going.
2, we need to call CPS, end quote, etc., etc. Girl who accused me of leaving shit on the floor and that CPS should be called. She did CPS, remember that. Talking about your friends, propagating CPS, coming to my house to take my kids away.
Okay, I mean, here you go, chat. These are literally defamatory. Let's take this from the top. Terrorist sympathizers who support CPS coming and taking my children away. She's directly responsible for CPS coming to my house. She is directly linked to CPS coming to my house, doing what she did, being like, oh, let's call CPS. He's an abuser. He neglects his children like we need to. We need to call CPS. Girl who accused me of leaving shit on the floor and that CPS should be called. She did CPS. Remember that. Talking about your friends propagating CPS coming to my house to take my kids away. You said you don't lie about people's kids and have CPS go to their house. These are just examples. As you know, there is no factual, I mean, like, this is defamatory averments of fact. He's literally saying to everybody, Denims did this. Denims said this. And she didn't. It's just a lie. It's just an outright lie.
End quote. April 21st. Again, in reference to Denims, you said, you don't lie about people's kids and have CPS go to their house. These are just examples. The list.
Wait. Holds this? Okay, Pittsburgh wept. What's going on? We are absolutely AAP with your behavior. Wasn't stronger mentally, you'd be very upsetting. You clearly don't care who you hurt or upset. What kind of community member are you to anyone? Okay. People that claim to be in a leftist community and care about others surely are pretty vile and putrid towards me for an opinion about defamation. What are you talking about? Okay, here's the thing. Personally, if you're going to come in here and take the side of Ethan Klein, a Zionist who is trying to hurt people right now intentionally with malicious intent, you're going to have to not act like a victim. That's all I'm going to have to say. You're going to have to not act like a victim, man.
Is very long. And people who have been around for as long as they've been around over the past couple months, you know that this is just the tip of the iceberg on the number of times that he has accused me for this, among a variety of other people and a variety of other communities. The letter continues. As you know, there is no factual basis on which to accuse my client of being responsible, directly or indirectly, for the alleged CPS call to your home. Further, you knew your statements were false when you made them, rendering your defamation of my client malicious. Where were we? On March 7th, 2025, you appeared to have publicly acknowledged CPS.
Pittsburgh wept. Just take a couple minutes. Take a minute and just relax, man. I think I looking at your messages, I didn't see anything that was super bad. People are misinterpreting what you're saying, I think. I don't think your joke hit, and now you're in your feels. Just take a minute, take a breather. Everybody leave poor Pittsburgh wept alone. Stop dogpiling. Mike, you are wrong? Or is Sarah McPoopy? Is that the person that's fucked up? Like, what's going on? Sarah McPoopy is crashing out? Sarah McPoopy, calm down. Everyone just calm. I think you guys are misinterpreting each other.
Indicated to you that someone who works at your home, not Denims, called CPS as it relates to the events at issue. On March 11th, you acknowledged Denims has denounced herself or anyone in her community making contact with CPS, yet you have failed to publicly retract your false statements and that my client acted to cause CPS to visit your home. And you have to love the average Ethan Klein fan. This does not end well for you, ... You got a spare couple of hundreds of thousands for legal fees. This isn't the W you think it is. To which I will say, yesterday night, two things. First, I will say, you know you're on the winning side when you say, okay, he might be right, but financially he will destroy you, so back off.
At Denims, hello, Madam Jeans. This is Ethan Klein's attorney speaking. I am coming to you with an offer of mutual takesy-backsies. Agreed?
New Pope was just announced.
Chronic copium users.
Yeah, they are. Sorry, we're going to have to come back to the Pope.
No mods, no Mike paying attention. You ended up siding with the trolls. Did I? I don't think I did. I just told that guy to take a minute off. He's fine.
Stuff in a little bit. I did see that apparently it was an American Pope that got selected. Chat informed me. LUSA. Wow, the dude, the fucking chat says LUSA. Man. But chat, I'm aware that Ethan Klein has made millions of dollars off of selling Pootie Tang core merch. And I'm aware that he uses his money to threaten other people legally. I'm aware that he's currently doing it to Noah Samson right now. Also, people without lawyers giving legal advice.
By the way, whatever happened to the Noah Samson lawsuit? What happened in the Noah Samson lawsuit? What happened?
People with lawyers will never not be funny. Don't worry. Cindy knows. Cindy knows better than my lawyer. So yesterday, I got the website ethankleinlied.com. Unfortunately, because I was in Texas trying to juggle this, trying to juggle talking to other people in Texas, vacationing, workcationing, haven't finalized all of the details here. But ethankleinlied.com now takes you to a GoFundMe for legal fees if Ethan Klein refuses to retract his defamatory statements that he made maliciously, knowingly, which is why the website is called ethankleinlied.com. And if he's happy to retract his defamatory statements, I will happily refund every single person who donates to the GoFundMe. If he's willing to admit that he made defamatory statements and issue a retraction, of course, again, I would be happy to refund every single person who's donated. Otherwise, I will be suing. And if you would like to help donate to this legal fund, considering that he doesn't have enough lawyers.
What happened?
The website is ethankleinlied.com. Mods, if you can pin that. So let's continue, shall we? Your defamatory statements in reference to and about Denims constitutes libel per se, a libel which is defamatory of the plaintiff without necessity of an explanatory matter, such as an inducement, innuendo, or other extrinsic fact, is said to be a libel on its face. Pertinent here, a statement charging someone of committing a criminal act, such as fabricating a criminal charge against another or making a false report to an official agency, is libel per se. Now, a lot of people have been concerned that defamation is difficult to prove damages for, but there is such a thing as per se, which means that you don't have to prove damages, or that damages are less important to prove. Accusing someone of a crime, libel per se. Also, yes, for anyone who would like to help me with these legal funds, please keep your name private. Please keep your name anonymous. I have seen that people have been getting doxxed, people who've been donating to charity. So yeah, if you are considering helping me in this, I would suggest staying anonymous if you can. And
here's the thing about court cases. It doesn't matter if something is liable per se for the purposes of determining what the damages should be. Damages just means money that you have to pay the other person. I think there are plenty of legal ideas that we could show to demonstrate monetary damages in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So if you're one of those people going like, oh, what was the damages? You're wrong. Okay. Even if, by the way, I have said that fighting with Ethan Klein is hilarious. Thank you, Ethan Klein. That doesn't mean that his defamation suddenly becomes okay. I'm being sarcastic to the fact that people like to see me fighting back and Denims fighting back against these scumbags, right? And they like the fact that we are pushing them back and we're not hiding and running away. We're actually taking them head on. And so more people will flock to watch us. Like, that's fine. That doesn't mean he hasn't done damage to my reputation. It doesn't mean that he hasn't done actionable fucking defamation against me. Just because me fighting back against the defamation made me more popular doesn't mean he didn't defame me and cause damage to me. So that's a very important point to remember. The way damages are measured, it is not like, here's where you were when the defamation started. Here's where your business was when the defamation ended. You grew, therefore no damages. Because that's not how you do it. Maybe I could have grown more. Maybe I would have made more money. Maybe I would have more viewers. And he knocked me down from where my growth could have been. All I have to do is demonstrate a plausible case of losses. And I have, in fact, complete certainty. I could prove damages. For Denims, for myself, for Frogan, there's no doubt about damages. So if you're one of those people that are going to do like, I'm going to be a chat GPT lawyer, what are your damages? Shut the fuck up. You have no idea what you're talking about. And I could very easily demonstrate it.
And for me, a big part of it is that at this point, I think the people who I care about know that Ethan Klein is a prolific
I love when people complain about me defending myself because it's like, this is all you talk about. Yesterday, I didn't talk about this shit at all. I did like 6 hours of fucking streaming on not Ethan Klein. Like, I was talking about the Pope. I was talking about like Catholic doctrine and shit. It was the quintessential Mike stream yesterday. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Liar. But I think it is unbelievably insane and cruel that no one can really stand up to Ethan because he has so much more money than everybody else and that there are no consequences for him.
Also, I want you guys to understand this. We're friends. We support each other. We're going to have each other's back. It's called solidarity. I'm going to keep doing that.
There have been some consequences with regard to the Kavanaugh case, but clearly he hasn't learned from that at all. And I don't think it is fair that he feels comfortable lying about whoever he wants, accusing people of crimes, blaming people for his inability to not shut the fuck up on his show and get away with it. So let's continue. Very important to reiterate again. And yeah, I was banned for a month because he reached out to advertisers to get a bunch of Arab streamers banned for saying that he didn't have the Habibi pass and that Sabra hummus was bad. So let's continue. Pertinent here, a statement charging someone of committing a criminal act, such as fabricating a criminal charge against another or making a false report to an official agency, is libel per se. Perhaps the clearest example of libel per se is accusation of a crime, referencing a separate suit. In particular, Penal Code 11172A makes it a crime to make a false or unsupported report to CPS. Here, these statements that Denims is responsible for and participated in the filing of a false Child Protective Services call, which you first made in March and repeated during recent episodes in April, directly states and otherwise insinuates that Denims is guilty of violating Penal Code 11172. Thus, you have committed libel per se against my client, and you are subject to all resulting civil liability exposures, including the full range of compensatory and special damages. Notably, your false inflammatory accusations against Denims have resulted in gravely concerning and threatening communications from the public, including presumably loyal members of your audience being directed towards my client. These communications have caused severe and sustained emotional distress to my client. Denims has been directly harmed.
Oh, yeah, this is the other thing. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. Like, Ethan Klein has demonstrated it clearly, an intent.
In other ways, such as, I will pull up this statement, in other ways as well, including substantial reputational damages and potentially financial harm to her business.
Mike, weren't you also on the Sabra hummus tier, LOL? Yes, and so was Denims. This is the funniest part. Denims and I were both in the Sabra hummus tier. Like, that's the most pathetic part of this entire fucking argument. Like, oh, they were just using it as a Jewish tier list. What? So Ivy was on the Jewish tier list, and so was Denims. Denims and I guess we're Jews born in Israel. Like, what? It's called a joke. It's called a joke. Obviously, Denims is an Arab woman. I don't think she likes Sabra hummus. Like, Raph, who is a Jewish man, was in A tier. It's right there. It's like Denims is here. Jinxie is here. Me, I'm here. This is Scootish. Oh, poor Scootish. He's another content creator who's left wing. He's more of like a gaming streamer. Like, and he's actually a pretty famous producer in the industry. Like, again, this was not racial in any way. You're dumb as fuck. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Valkyrie thinks it's a slur. Vio thinks it's a slur. She's a MENA person too. She's a Muslim woman too. Like, what are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? Two of the people on the panel were at the bottom. It's just a completely defamatory lie, and it's ridiculous on its face.
This platform. And I think this is a good opportunity, by the way, chat. You guys already know my stance about tapping the glass. You already know how I feel about interacting with the insane people in Ethan Klein's audience. I don't think you should tap the glass. I don't think you should interact with them. But for those who would like to, and those who have seen comments accusing me of CPS, please feel free to screenshot those, whether it's on my Instagram, whether it's on his Instagram, his YouTube video, his live stream, my Twitter page, either of my Twitter pages. Any comments that you see that blame me for CPS, again, do not interact with these people. Please feel free to screenshot them. I'd like to have a nice full document that shows that people believe this, which is why I've been saying to everyone who has been coming in here and saying that you're not helping your boy, Ethan Klein. And the best place to send it, we will have a channel in the Discord called Ethan Klein Lied, and you are welcome to post any screenshots in there. ! Discord. Wait, are you suing Ethan? Legally, I have to, it is the correct thing to do to issue a retraction demand, which is what this is. A demand for public retraction of false publication, which is the first step. This is the exact same thing that he's done to Noah. He demanded a retraction, which in LA, if you are a news outlet, you publish daily, or can be argued that you are supposed to go through these steps. This is the correct way to do it. You demand a retraction, and then if they don't retract, you can sue. I used to watch H3 religiously. He spent a huge amount of time attacking Ryan Kavanaugh. I don't think what you're doing is bad, but I hope you're prepared for how petty and vindictive he is, considering that he's already gone.
Wait, what? What is Ethan Klein gonna do that he hasn't already done? He's allying with literal Nazis, Sam Hyde. He's supporting fucking pro-genocide creators like Destiny. Like, he is threatening people with lawsuits. He's defaming us every fucking day. Like, what the fuck else is he gonna do? Oh, what's he gonna do? Threaten us? Apparently, AB threatened me with violence. I heard about this, and I was like, why didn't Ethan do it? Why don't you challenge Anthony? New GDF video for later? Yeah, I saw that. We're gonna watch that. Anyway, let's keep going.
On me banned for 30 days, and that he's already made 2 main channel videos about me, blaming me for the CPS call.
He needs to take those videos down, honestly.
I'm aware of how petty and vindictive he is. And I don't think it's fair that everyone has to live in fear of Ethan Klein.
Dog Ethan's punk ass.
Yeah, so for anyone who would like to donate to the legal fund, which I've already stated, if he's down to retract, and he recognizes that he has publicly admitted that I did not cause it. He's publicly admitted he doesn't know. He's publicly admitted that they said it was a call from inside the house. And he's publicly admitted that he saw a clip of me explicitly saying, don't call CPS, I don't condone it. And I've never condoned it. Despite the fact that he's admitted to all of this, he still continues to push this lie. So let's finish up here. For these reasons, we request that you immediately retract your false statements about Denims by publishing a correction saying that you are not aware of any evidence that Denims was responsible for or otherwise participated in any CPS communications concerning you or your family. We further request that foregoing retraction and correction be made within the next 10 days, and that the corrective statement be published on both the H3 podcast and the H3 Productions channel. Should you or your league representatives wish to discuss this matter further, please do not hesitate to contact me at, and again, anything that's blocked out is just for the safety of anyone involved. And this letter was sent to him yesterday evening, but of course he is still posting on his Instagram story about Hassan. So yeah, what's the email at the bottom? This is the public email of the lawyer that Ethan Klein has, that he has publicly stated, the lawyer that he has. Public information that Ethan Klein has provided. Thank you. He literally said it a few nights ago. He says Denims and then Denims' chat. And you gotta love the new response, I guess, that the H3 fans are having. How about you let it go and move on with your excuse of a life? Oh, right.
This is one of the things that's really funny with the Ethan Klein complainers and the overall just the disgusting rat fucks that we have to deal with, like the Destiny people in particular. They'll be like, you're obsessed with Destiny. We're obsessed with Destiny? We're obsessed with Ethan Klein? You motherfuckers have been defaming us and trying to get us deplatformed. What are you talking about? You cry bully bitch? Shut up.
I forgot. Bad things are only allowed to happen to people who don't like Ethan Klein.
Exactly.
Bad things are never allowed to happen, or consequences, accountability, that's never allowed to happen to someone like Ethan Klein. You should give this advice to Ethan. You should give him the advice to move on from anything ever. So with that, yes, chat, I have issued a statement to Ethan Klein, to his lawyers. I have made a demand for a public retraction of false publications, of him accusing me of having anything to do with the CPS call. And I currently have a GoFundMe link because I am aware that the guy is a millionaire who's made a lot of money off of selling Pootie Tang merch, which no disrespect. You want to sell toddler core merch? That's fine. You want to make millions? That's fine. But since I haven't made millions off of selling toddler core merch, I genuinely do appreciate everyone who has donated.
I legitimately think her clothes look like shit. But again, what do I know? I'm not a fashionista, right? You know, like I get it, but I legitimately think Teddy Fresh looks like shit. I mean, I don't know what to say. It looks kind of creepy, and like, I think it's a dog whistle. I think it's a dog whistle. I think if you're coming from internet culture and you have a teddy bear as your logo, I think it's very, very, very suspect. That's a dog whistle. especially the 4chan era they were coming out of when they made the brand. I think that is, and also to have it be like toddler core, like it's very, very sus.
This is insane that
the way he reacted to the term cheese pizza was certainly something. I mean, since we're talking about dog whistles, I think they dog whistle a lot.
Is $5,000 like actually,
and then there was, he was in the New York Times because he was sexually inappropriate in front of children on the metaverse. Like he was so perverted in front of children that it got a New York Times mention.
I'm kind of speechless.
Fucking weird.
It's a little bit crazy. So holy shit, thank you. And the website is ethankleinlie.com. And if Ethan is willing to be the bigger person and say, no, you're right, Denims, you did not call it. I admit that there was a clip that I saw of you where you said you don't condone it. I will retract.
It's crazy how H3H3 is a Nazi dog whistle. Oh, okay. I think you're reaching there.
I will make a video on H3H3 Productions saying that.
Denims is streaming.
And you, again.
I can't believe so. Like, you want to know that the America is the land of opportunity? Somebody with Gila Klein's voice became a professional talker. What an incredible land of opportunity we have.
And you really do have to love the people that come in, the H3 fans. This is how you know you're on the winning side. Ethan will eat you alive. You don't have the money or intelligence to go anywhere with this. You know you're proving that he has pushed a harassment campaign against me.
It's driving me crazy.
When you type things like this, you're making it harder for him to win the lawsuit. You're like actually like an idiot. Like threatening people who pursue a lawsuit against your guy. And every further post you make, it doesn't benefit him. I'm just telling you, like, this isn't beneficial for him. It's only beneficial for me when you type things like this, whether it's in Reddit, on Reddit, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Instagram. And yes, if he decides to retract, I think this is a very important statement to make. If he decides to retract his statement, I will be refunding all of the money from the GoFundMe. If he's willing to be the bigger person for once in his life, yeah, I don't want to keep this. This is only money that I would use for a lawsuit. So I will happily refund all of this. So yeah, ethankleinlied.com. How long has this been in the tank for? I said it already. Ethan inspired me when he issued a retraction letter to Noah Samsen. He's right. If you feel like someone is defaming your character.
And by the way, Noah Samsen didn't retract shit because he was right.
In my case, accusing me of...
I will say that Ethan does have significantly more money at this than she does. No, he doesn't. He's facing down a massive defamation lawsuit against a billionaire, and he attacked the guy's business by having his community defame the other guy's, like, his app in the app store. Like, there's no he doesn't have infinite money. Part of the mystique that Ethan Klein is trying to put out there is like, look how much I have infinite money. I got all this. And he's facing down a massive defamation defeat from Kavanaugh. Like, he is going to be paying money out of his fucking ass. And his viewership has been thirded. It's thirded. It's not halved. It's a third of what it used to be. And Teddy Fresh is declining, plus the fucking tariffs from China, which is where they had all their clothes made. So it's like tariffs on China, losing a lawsuit to Brett Kavanaugh, or not Brett Kavanaugh. What was the guy's name? Fuck, what's the guy? Kavanaugh. What's the guy's fucking name? He's another Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh, the Supreme Court Justice. Ryan Kavanaugh, thank you. Losing the defamation suit to Ryan Kavanaugh. Okay, so let's go through this again. 1, tariffs on China, so Teddy Fresh can't get their clothes made for any amount of money where they make massive profits like they're used to. He's losing a defamation lawsuit to Ryan Kavanaugh, where he also attacked the guy's business and called him a pedophile and all sorts of other shit. Like, he compared him to, he said he looked like Harvey Weinstein and shit like that. And his viewership is a third of what it used to be and declining. Like, they did a H3, like, St. Patrick's Day, like, you know, subathon, and they got like 10K. That's terrible. For millions and millions and millions of viewers, 10K subathon is fucking nothing. Yeah, oh yeah, he's also being sued by his housekeeper for violating California law because he fired her after she requested time off under FMLA, which is also a federal law. She wanted FMLA leave so she could get hernia surgery. So he's going to lose that lawsuit. He's going to lose his Ryan Kavanaugh lawsuit. He's gonna sue 8 different people and win? This motherfucker's gonna have nothing left. And by the way, and this is very important, he's a Zionist. I don't know if you guys know this, but people on all sides of the political spectrum don't like Israel that are under the age of 40. So maybe since he's like a 40-year-old Zionist, he doesn't know this, but most young people don't like Zionists, and they don't like people that are supporting Israel's genocide. And you're an online content creator, you fucking idiot. I don't know if you guys like legitimately go on TikTok. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of liked videos making fun of Ethan Klein. And the pro Ethan Klein videos have like 5,000 likes. Like, he's getting absolutely destroyed on every platform. The only people supporting him are on Twitter, where it's like, those are the far right, and they don't like Ethan Klein. They're not going to ride for him. You think Sam Hyde's community is going to ride for Ethan Klein? They might opportunistically use Ethan Klein to attack Hassan. But when this is over, like, they're not sticking around to this unfunny fuck. Like, what are you talking about? 10K subs, including gifties during a subathon while having 25K viewers is wild. Yeah, it's terrible. It's fucking terrible. Hassan has like 70,000 subscribers without even ever asking for money.
Of a crime, libel per se, I should demand that he retract. And again, it would help if you please do not interact with these people. Do not post in his subreddit. Do not engage with those people. Don't reply to those people. Do not engage with any of these people. But if you happen to see a lot of comments in any location, just screenshot it. Any comments saying, I caused CPS, this community caused CPS, any of these comments, please screenshot them and post them in the Discord, in the channel ethankleinlied.com. Again, do not interact with any of these people. You guys already know how I feel about tapping the glass. So yeah, and this is a very important part, by the way. You should know that this will work in his benefit. A lawsuit will allow discovery of evidence, meaning CPS data about who called will be available. If those people are linked to your bad empanadas, it would allow him to countersue you. Considering that they told him it was from inside of the house, discovery would help me. More importantly, his claim is that I am guilty of participating in the filing of a, quote, false child protective services call, and that I propagated a lie that allowed for the false child protective services call. False here is a very important indicator. If the person who called CPS states that they genuinely had a concern because of Ethan Klein's footage on his show, it is functionally not a false call, and not one that I incited, which he knows and he is aware of, as there are many.
By the way, it's not a false call. That's the thing that's funny, is like, it's not a false call. If somebody who was a professional saw what Ethan Klein said, and out of concern, legitimate concern for the child's welfare, called CPS, that's not a false call. Like, it's not swatting. If a content creator goes on screen and says that they have somebody at hostage in the other room and they're going to shoot them, that's not swatting to call the cops. Okay, swatting is when you make up a false story and send the police at someone in the hopes that the police overreact and harm the person. If somebody says my children are are catching parasites from dog shit, or implies that, and somebody calls and it gets investigated, that's not a false call. That's you saying dumb shit on your stream and having consequences for your own actions. He's such a crybaby bullshit. Like what a fucking loser he is.
Clips of him saying this. Just donated, good luck. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. Showing clips of Ethan talking are now lies. Yep, it's
even his. And by the way, this is something that was in the content deputy, which is people in his own chat were saying, what's going on in Ethan Klein's house? Ethan Klein's family doing the centipede. Ethan Klein, poo Klein, like caca Klein. Everybody was saying it. His own staff were like, how do I avoid getting the parasite? They didn't sound like that. It didn't sound like a joke to me. It sounded like they were taking it quite seriously. He will be laughed out of fucking court.
It's, that is the person that he is. Just accuse everyone else of lying when you're the one that's lying. And again, I really do want to stress, one, if you do donate, to everyone who has donated, this is really crazy that it's almost at 7K. Holy shit. The support really means a lot. And I know I've seen a lot of comments in the past couple months basically saying that, like, people would want to stand behind someone because Ethan Klein's behavior has gotten out of control, especially in the past few months. And to see the support actually here is really cool, and it really does mean a lot. But I would appreciate if you guys remain anonymous, because we know that a particular community there are concerns that a particular community will dox. And so for your guys' safety, I would recommend anonymity. And I do, again, want to stress, if you are interested in finding any of these lies that have been propagated and people that have participated
I know this is my tinfoil moment, but is it possible
the
CPS visit was all made up? I mean, yes! 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 We haven't seen any direct evidence. Now, I don't personally think he would make something up like that because that seems so insane to do. But yes, we haven't seen any proof
of calling CPS or anyone in this community calling CPS. Please don't interact with them. Feel free to just screenshot that.
He posted a business card. Do you have the link to that? Because if that's true, I want to make sure that we get that evidence out there. That he posted a business card, which to me would be sufficient
and
to believe that it happened. To me,
I'm genuinely confused by this message. You're rich too, LOL. If you think I'm Pootie Tang levels rich, you're very mistaken.
It's so funny how like people flatten things like from well-to-do or upper middle class people like myself, or, you know, and I don't even know if Denims is like, I think Denims is getting there now because of Ethan Klein. Thank you, Ethan Klein. But Ethan Klein has been a rich multimillionaire for a decade. Okay, like you're comparing it to successful content creators. Like, I'm not saying we're not. We are very successful according to Ethan Klein. It is true. Denims is very successful. I'm very successful. We're doing fine. You know, but we're certainly not fuck you money. Like if our streams went away, it would be very bad for us. Our lives would suck. We aren't in like fuck you money territory yet. We don't have like, I mean, I don't know about Denims, but I don't have millions of dollars. But people will like, as soon as you get to a certain where you can like make money as a good job as a content creator, people just put you in this like rich content creator category. And they're not able to differentiate between multi-millionaire freak and, you know, well-to-do people making more, you know, solid six figures. It's like, there's a big difference between the two. I have children, and based on my experiences, I would not think he's lying about CPS. They do a lot of wellness checks that end up being closed, and it's better to err on the side of caution with children's well-being. Absolutely. I love that. I love the fact, I think CPS is one of the best things about our society. I love the idea that if somebody is concerned about a child's well-being, there's a place we can go, and then a neutral third party can go and check on the kids. I think that is so good. Now, I think there's complications in it and there's problems with it and foster care is fucked up and we need to work on improving it. But just the basic idea of, hey, children are not your property to do with what you will. They're human beings that have rights is a good idea. Keystone State. Okay, here we go. This is the evidence that was provided. I hate Reddit. I really don't like Reddit. Because the new cope is that I'm lying about the CPS. Here's the card that he left me yesterday morning. I'll also have the report once the investigation is finished. Can we have the report? Where's the report? Why the hell did he block out the hotline? What did he block out the hotline for? It's the Child Protective Services of Los Angeles. Like, why would you block out the hotline? Like, what?
Nuclear and anyone who attacked or enabled someone to attack my family too. That is an honorable trait. Control print screen. I'm actually like a little in awe that people are behaving this way. You actively perpetrated a lie that Ethan Klein's kids ate dog shit and you're complaining about him lying. Control print screen. You realize that this entire letter is me stating that people...
By the way, that person is helping her case. This person is helping her case. What a dumb fuck.
Like you have regurgitated Ethan Klein's lies. And I would have to prove that people believe this genuinely. That would be the most difficult thing for me. And you're doing it for me? Okay, sure.
Hey, chatters, this is your Laura speaking. I am advising you today to please keep posting.
I don't know how to tell you this. It's not perpetrating a lie to play somebody else's stream where they say their dog has Giardia, their kid has Giardia, and the only way to get it is to ingest poop. That is not me perpetrating a lie. That's me playing a clip from his broadcast. And you're kind of cooked if you think that me playing Ethan Klein's own stream, his podcast, is me perpetrating a lie. Your stream reached less people with that clip than when he shared it on his show. I don't even support Ethan or H3. I just looked at all the information. And you think you know better than a lawyer. Man, I wish I had your confidence. Wow. Didn't you
First of all, he didn't look... Also, didn't you offer $30K to make another streamer disappear? Did you offer $100,000 to a hit on another streamer? If I offered $100,000 to a hitman for another person, I would be arrested. But yet they repeat this lie they made up. Same thing with her. First of all, she was talking about having I think it was a neo-Nazis account banned.
So offer $30K to make another streamer disappear. You clearly aren't looking at all the information, because if you were looking at all the information, and this is going to make you look like you have your pants down, we're going to catch you with your pants down, chatter. Asman already said on his show months ago, he admitted that I was joking, and that I was obviously joking in that clip. This is another thing that I'm kind of in awe about. H3 fans love to say that people on the left use the genocide to distract from any other issues, but then they do it way more egregiously. Why are you doing this when there's a genocide going on? Couldn't the funds be raised for Gaza instead? You know you can do two things at once. You know that Ethan Klein getting a bunch of pro-Palestinian streamers that use their platform to actually cover the genocide in Gaza and don't run defense for Israel's actions, getting those people banned for 30 days isn't exactly the side you want to be on for this argument. Wait, what's the co-posting here? Dude, I feel so bad for like the people that are still like in the cult, which I'm sure he'll pause when he watches this broadcast on his show. I'm sure he'll pause and be like, cult, oh my God, she called it can you believe this? I'm sure he'll hyper-focus on it. Read like a book, unfortunately. But this is so sad. I really wanted to talk about this, or I wanted to watch this with you guys really quickly. It made me happy, but it also kind of made me sad, thinking about the people who are still in there. Austin Ox posted this video.
It disgusts me how the H3 fans used like during a genocide talking point. That's directly from Ethan Klein. That's directly from Ethan Klein. Don't you understand? Like, Ethan Klein mocks the genocide. Like, he mocks what's happening because he's a Zionist. And one of the things the things that's really funny about Ethan Klein is that he's scared. He can't just be himself. Be yourself, you little bitch. Say it. Say you support Israel's genocide. Just say it. Stop being such a fucking coward.
Dexterity Knox posted this video. But sorry, this post really quickly, this fucking pathetic NPC style fucking posting. This money could have gone to Palestine. Why is she suing people when there's a genocide going on? Ha 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 ha. What? Insanity. I've raised money for Palestine before on various occasions. I can care about multiple things at the same time. And if you care about Palestinians and Palestinian coverage, maybe you would care about the fact that Ethan Klein uses his power, that he uses his audience specifically to push a narrative that a bunch of streamers on Twitch are anti-Semitic and gets them banned for 30 days. People who have used their platform to has Ethan ever used his platform to fundraise for Palestine? No, you're doing literally what you accuse our side of doing. You're using the genocide to push away any criticism against Ethan Klein. And it's sad, and it's fucking pathetic. Money could have gone to Palestine, really, like, almost, OMG, it's almost like that's the whole point. It's like Ethan Klein is forcing us to waste our time with him when there's a genocide going on. It's just, yeah. It's disingenuous criticism. They're just like, that's the talking point that they were given, so that's the one that they have to run with. Which, you know what? Keep going. And I'm sure it'll work out eventually. I'm sure it will. But by the way, this is actually crazy, and I really do want to say thank you to everyone who has donated. I'm actually kind of like, I know a lot of people said that they would be in support of someone finally bringing a suit to Ethan, and people want to donate and they want to get him to stop this egregious behavior. But it is really cool to see people donate. It's and I genuinely hope, and I really do want him to simply retract, so I can refund all of this money back to you guys. Because that would be the responsible adult thing to do, for him to get on his show and for him to make a video on his YouTube channel and say, I know Denims said I don't condone it, and she said she's never condoned it, and I don't actually have any proof that she was the one who called CPS or anyone in her community called CPS, so I'm retracting that criticism against her. And I would be happy to return all of this. We may not be Pootie Tang rich, but most of us have a little extra tucked away for times like this. Wait, that's why you were banned? I thought it was because Ben Shapiro was on the thumbnail of the video, but not actually ranked during the panel, and that's how it was framed as bad. That's crazy. The reason we got banned was because Ethan Klein with his sex pestiny friend, Dan Saltman, organized a mass campaign to email advertisers to pull advertising off Twitch. And their audiences sent hundreds or thousands of emails to advertisers, tagged the fuck out of representatives. Their audience, I presume, send lots of emails to the ADL, which eventually got them involved, which is why there is a tweet officially on the ADL's Twitter, x.com, whatever, that says, thank you for Twitch for banning Twitch streamer Frogan. So yeah. And here's the thing, man. Ethan, if you had just watched my video where I break down everything you lied about, we wouldn't be in this situation, but...
Oh, can I just take a second here to... I just took a bite of food, too. Hold on.
For someone who claims that you're not a coward and that you watch all criticisms, doesn't seem like you do, because you famously didn't watch either of the videos that I made. You watched clips of the first one that didn't have the timestamp that was here, and then you didn't watch any of the second one. Probably because it exposed how you lied about literally everything that you claimed happened with regard to my involvement in CPS. But okay. And I do like really feel...
During a genocide talking point literally came from Wooly Slop Show. He has never come to a point by himself. He's extremely stupid, in my opinion, like uniquely stupid. I mean, Wooly Slop Show is like a certain type of low IQ content creator, which is very popular online. He doesn't know anything. He's very stupid, and he creates a space for other stupid fuckers. This is pretty common, actually, in male spaces. If you're a man, you know all about these types of content. It's like... It is a space for dumb guys to act dumb, and also to like kind of act like they're tough and strong by trying to attack people. I want to hang out with Willie Mac Show. I want to hang out with him in person, face to face. I want to have a conversation with him in person, just me and him, no one else. I want to sit down and have a conversation with him. That's like my biggest dream right now.
Feel bad for the people that are still in there.
Just want to meet him.
This post has been making the rounds a little bit. I'm not sure how many of you guys have seen it. One's if you've seen this, two's if you haven't. H3 podcast fan on TikTok said that she, after watching Ethan and Hassan debate, she feels like a fucking idiot and is canceling her paid membership. Ethan, this whole time has been doing All Lives Matter in front of our face, and it took me this long to realize.
2.
And came out of the debate in a full 180 and will be killing my paid membership. I feel like a fucking idiot. Ethan has pulled the victim card so well. Ethan begged for this debate for how long? And he didn't debate. He got angry anytime Hassan was making a point, said...
I mean, the very beginning is like pathetic. Sorry, I can't really turn up the volume. It's already volume max 600%. This is the highest I can make it. The very beginning of the debate, it's obvious that he's not interested in actually having a discussion. As a Fallen fan, he was famous for never watching full commentary on himself, picking and choosing parts that suited his argument. Can you link the tweet? Yeah, I'd be happy to. But in the very first section of the debate where Hassan's like, hey, I think before we can get into anything, we should define a couple of words. I think it's important for us to have these definitions and that we agree on these definitions before we move forward. And Hassan gets him to define Zionist, and immediately after that, he goes into a rage, bringing up the swastika sword and says, isn't it weird that you did this? Isn't it weird that iDubbbz did this? He did this in your house. iDubbbz had the swastika boy. iDubbbz has this in your house, and he didn't say anything.
It wasn't a swastika sword. It was a bleach sword. Like, it's just literally that simple. It literally wasn't.
Swastika iDubbbz, swastika boy. It's like, what the fuck? Wait, did it start with the Fortnite L dance? Like, it just looks pathetic when this person is trying to genuinely have a conversation with you and they're trying to define some words before you get any further, like making sure we agree on what a Zionist is, the definition of what a Zionist is, agreeing on the definition of what a genocide is, agreeing on the definition of a variety of things. And then you just immediately go into this L dance, guys, we have to talk about the L dance. It's like, holy shit. Like, you don't actually care about having this conversation. You just really need to get your gotchas in. And then if the person starts responding with any facts, you just say, this is boring. People don't care. Dude, you're making this unwatchable. Hey, Denims, I'm a former CPS worker in that field for a decade. I actually love that you're taking this step. It's wrong to make false CPS reports, but it's also wrong to go after someone else wrongfully accusing them of making a false CPS report. The system is already strained and broken enough, and the way that Ethan weaponized his millions of followers against small creators should have an iota of accountability for what he's doing.
Can I be honest? Can I be really honest right now? I don't think Ethan Klein has millions of followers, like in the sense of follower, meaning like people that actually care what he says. I actually think Ethan Klein may be the biggest paper tiger on all of YouTube. Like when I fight with Asmongold, I know I'm fighting with somebody who has fans, okay? I'm going to get Nazis in my replies. I'm going to get threats. I'm going to get somebody who says, like, you are a cuck or whatever. Like, there's going to be, it's not going to be a lot, but there's going to be some of those, right? With Ethan Klein, radio silence. The only people I'll get pushing Ethan Klein talking points are Destiny fans. Every single time, I think there's been one exception. One exception. Where... whenever I see someone pushing Ethan Klein talking point, it's a Destiny supporter. Like, it is every single time. And it's actually funny, because some people be like, oh, you're doing a conspiracy, you're so obsessed with Destiny. And it's that I, like, click on their name, following, and they're following Destiny. And it's like, they have no shame, which is kind of an advantage. It is funny, but he's shooterless. He's shooterless.
For what he's done, good luck. And again, like, I really appreciate this message. I say it in the clip that he keeps using to be like, look, this is her justifying it. You literally press play on the rest of that clip before, right after the cut. And it's me saying, but regardless, I don't think we should use CPS this way. I don't think CPS should be used for someone like Ethan Klein. I talk about how I respect that he doesn't bring his kids on camera. And I talk about how CPS really should, when it comes to creators, it really only should be used for those fucking family vloggers, the ones that like milk their children for content. It's like every day is like a new video where my kid does this, my kid does this. And like, I'm like scared of those people, but I've been told that they've done like my daughter's first period, which is like, and those family vloggers, you're abusing your children for content. You're uploading content every single day. And it's like 30, 40 minutes. It's like that is not acceptable. That is not acceptable. And that should, I mean, I think the rules should be way more strict. I know Gruesome Newsome, one rare L at this point was him pushing legislation that makes it harder for parents to abuse their children for content online, specifically family vloggers. And for those people, in my opinion, that feels like child exploitation. But I gave Ethan credit for not engaging this behavior. I gave Ethan credit for this and saying, yeah, I appreciate that you don't use your kids as content. And I don't think you should have CPS called on you. But he doesn't want to include that in any of his videos. And even though he admitted that he knows that I said, I don't condone this and I've never condoned it, he needs to keep pushing this narrative because he can't take accountability for the fact that he's overshared on his show. That's why they're all moving to Tennessee. That's so fucking gross, dude. I don't like family vloggers. I don't like them. They make me very uncomfortable. I think that's a pretty cold take. If it's a hot take, dude, fucking, oh my God. Someone donated 1K. That's fucking crazy. Jesus. Thank you. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. It's, I really cannot explain in words how appreciative I am.
I'm not crying, you're crying. Crying face.
No, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to pull a tech tone. I'm not going to do it. I will stay strong. Okay. I want to get back to the rest of this video.
That the audience was going to get bored. This is what we came for, Ethan. And I'm gonna sit here and watch the full 5 hours while you make a fucking fool of yourself. You look so...
Kill Nazis equals good. Like, if you disagree and see this as an argument about American exceptionalism, a lot of people were killing Nazis. Polls did well. Here's the thing about advocating for killing. It's against the rules of Twitch. So you should not do that in the chat, because you're going to get your account banned. Okay? Like, you're going to get your account banned. If you advocate for killing people, even Nazis, you're going to get your account banned. Just be aware that you can't advocate for violence.
Dumb. And it's so disheartening knowing that the crew is stuck. Yeah, they can...
Given that Denims here mentions that Ethan notably doesn't watch other people's videos fully, do you think there's a chance he's been being fed the clip commentaries, believing that he's the only context and that's what's driving him rabid? He's incredibly dumb. It would be easy to flip him like that. That's what Destiny's community successfully did. When October 7th happened, Destiny's community seized on this opportunity to attack Ethan Klein and try to drive a wedge between him and Hassan, because Ethan Klein very clearly wanted to side with Israel, and Hassan from very beginning saw that the Benjamin Netanyahu-led far-right government of Israel was going to do a genocide. I said it 3 days into the war. I knew what they were going to do. I knew they were going for ethnic cleansing. I knew they were going for genocide. 3 days into the fucking conflict, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a genocide. It was very obvious for those of us who were paying attention. And Ethan Klein, basically, you know, he fell for a psyop, which he's not very bright. It's not surprising.
And like, I know
Denims is streaming.
Dan is the one exception to this rule where he actively participates in the lies that Ethan pushes. Like, he engages with it. I mean, even with me, he did it. Or he has to be in on it. Like, he has to know that he's lying, that he's knowingly lying, and he's just getting his bag. I know, like, Zach and Word Love and all those other people, I don't know. I just, like, man, dude, it doesn't feel good for me to talk about people like Olivia and AB. Because I know if I was in that position, I would struggle hardcore, and AB is losing me. He's losing me rapidly. And it's like, dude, I know you're not a bad dude, but, like, why? Why are you making videos?
Can someone please link a clip from Avatar that involves character growth so we can get her to cry while she is vulnerable?
Why are you making videos on your channel defending this? Like, dude, come on.
AB is obviously conflicted. I don't give a shit.
I don't have it on hand. Maybe if somebody else has it.
I don't give a shit if AB. AB just posted my $4,200 a month apartment in LA. He's not conflicted.
On hand, the fucking Arabs comment and the response to the fucking Arabs comment. This comment.
Not by choice, but because they were forced out. The vast majority went to the fucking Arabs. The anti-Semitic Arabs.
There you go.
What? There you go. What? That's my point. Are you okay?
My case.
Okay. Well, I mean,
no, you're too fucking delusional to realize what kind of racist nonsense you're fucking chirping on. That was my entire point. Thank you.
Historic.
To say the effing Arabs did it right there. That's explains so much about Ethan Klein. First of all, he says he thinks Palestinians are responsible collectively for any crime any Arab person has committed ever. And he denies Palestinian nation. He denies the existence of the Palestinian nation by calling them Arabs and creating that collective responsibility. So that collective responsibility serves two functions. One, undermining and denying Palestinian nation status. And two, creating an argument for collective responsibility for the crimes of of a different state for the Palestinian people. Sort of like the Palestinian people are supposed to bear the costs of the Holocaust. Like, people will be like, the Jews suffered a Holocaust, so they needed a nation of their own. Why didn't they give them Bavaria then? Why didn't they give them fucking Bavaria then? Why didn't they give them, the Prussian territory? Instead of having Russia take it, why not give that to the Jewish people to form their own Jewish state right there in Prussia? Well, and why are Palestinians supposed to bear the brunt of the costs of the Holocaust?
I mean, it's historical.
And I was like, it's okay. He's going to get on the show.
Hey, Mike, I'm working for a campaign for Congress in the Illinois 8th District, and I'm trying to get contact info for leftist political commentators who might be interested in talking to our candidate. Is there a way I can find your contact email so I can reach out? Your best bet is just DM me on Discord as opposed to my Gmail. That's what I would suggest. It's also the best way to get in contact with most streamers in general, to be honest with you.
Oh, and explain. And denounce the phrasing that he used here.
Also DM
right?
me on Twitter.
And then they doubled down on it. Thank you. Thank you for this clip, Remy. I couldn't believe this, dude. I still can't believe it. Like, I'm kind of still processing this clip because it's so insane.
So I knew in the moment you were using it as saying, like, obviously what I'm saying is the Arabs. But that being said, I knew in that moment that it was going to get clipped.
It didn't even occur to me.
Why did you know in that moment it was going to be clipped? AB is such a fucking pathetic loser, dude. What a pathetic fucking loser AB is. Like, look at this. Why did you think it was going to be clipped? Because it was racist.
Well, that's why you have to regulate.
Oh, here we go. PR Dan. HR Dan.
Your anger in moments.
There's literally nothing I can do.
I kind of agree.
There's literally nothing I can do. I couldn't help screaming the fucking Arabs because there was nothing I could do
with you, just because I know you and I think you're right that there's nothing you can do.
Not just that.
It's still, I think it's a valid criticism though, that when talking about something that sensitive, that keeping your emotions in check and just speaking calmly and clearly without,
to be honest with
using that kind of language, because it is going to get clipped like that.
Please, Kamala Raider, please tell us.
This
He's
was
right.
5 hours of intense,
No, I get it. I get it.
conversation. Like,
That's crazy because at no
The fact
point
that
in that conversation did Hassan say, quote, the fucking Jews, end quote. Hassan managed to not say that after a 5-hour long discussion. What's Ethan's problem? That he couldn't resist.
there's a moment clippable. I mean, kind of understandable.
But
like if Hassan said the fucking Jews, there's no way you would have dropped that.
yeah, because it doesn't make. First of all, that
If Hassan had said the opposite, he would have been nuked from orbit. He'd be in prison right now because Islamophobia and Arabphobia is okay. You can be racist against Arabs. You can be Islamophobic, and you can get promoted by people. In fact, your Arab Muslim employees won't even quit. That's how much Islamophobia is out there.
That's when. And what context does that make sense?
Well, if he was, I don't know, whatever.
The Arabs.
Yeah, it would be within the context of the Nakba. And it would be anti-Semitic to make that claim because you're stereotyping and you're creating this group or you're making this group into a monolith, and that's incorrect. In the same way that you can't just talk about the Arabs as if every single Arab country is exactly the same, is governed exactly the same way, has exactly the same type of Arabs, when this is literally factually incorrect. The Arabs are a monolith. That's literally what Putin says about Ukraine. These are basically Russians. This is basically our land. This is basically our territory.
Honestly, it's worse than what Putin says about Ukraine. It's actually worse because Putin is saying that Ukraine is really Russia and it's inclusive. He's not saying like, oh, we want to take over Ukraine and then get rid of all the Ukrainians that are currently living on it. He's saying that, hey, the Ukrainian identity is not real. These people are actually Russian. So it's inclusive form of annexation, irredentism. It's wrong and it's evil, but it at least includes the humanity. He still is not arguing that Ukrainians aren't human beings, right? Whereas the Israelis, the way they want to treat the Arab Palestinians is that they don't deserve to be there at all, that they don't deserve human consideration, that they should be killed or expelled, and their population controlled. It's actually more extreme. Israel is more extreme toward the Palestinians than Russia is toward the Ukrainians, even though what Russia is doing towards the Ukraine is a crime.
Be able to just take all of this. It's like, oh, these are basically all the same type of they're Arabs. It's all the same thing. We should be able to fucking genocide them if we want to. That's the next step of this argument.
This is a collection of a bunch of nations that all collectively kicked the Jews out.
Yeah,
So
I know. No, I know.
If
I
he
know
said the fucking Jews, what is he talking about?
Yeah, I guess more comparable would be the fucking Israelis.
It would be, I didn't even use it like that. It'd be more like the Jews are, they're fucking complicit or something because it's not like, I'm not saying fuck the Arabs.
No, I know.
I know you're not saying that, but that's also how, this is the world we live in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Can you imagine saying the fucking blacks and then later going back and saying, well, I wasn't being racist towards black people. I was just like, what I was saying.
I have two responses to that. One, I can't prevent this because these people are out and open liars, and they have an entire network of propaganda and disinformation, as you can see here.
Complete projection.
18,000.
No, I got you.
And second of all, I think there is a time to raise your voice.
I'm sorry. What?
Because these people are out and open liars, and they have an entire network of propaganda and disinformation, as you can see here. 18,000.
Saying that these people are open liars, out and open liars, and they have an entire disinfo network, and the disinfo network is a clip of the two of them talking.
No, I got you.
And second of all, I think there is a time to raise your voice and get passionate. And I think that was one of the times. And you'll see that the other clip that came out.
I'm not saying you can't get passionate.
Yeah, we're not talking about what you're actually talking about. Just giving people that clip.
Just uttering that phrase. I get it, but
I did not.
I also
honestly,
understand what you guys are saying, but nobody's perfect.
I don't know how.
Nobody's perfect. He just made another racially tinged comment about a people that are under genocide. Nobody's perfect.
I never saw that section. Nobody is perfect. I don't have any words for that. It's so awe-inspiring. You can be friends with or married to someone who says an unbelievably racist statement and then defend it by saying, well, nobody's perfect. It was a really long stream. What? Okay. which kind of makes me want to watch like a little bit of this soft take video, because I feel like this is a small like microcosm of what this video is trying to talk about. That a lot of the stuff that Hila talks about on the podcast, she does not hold pro-Israel voices to nearly the same standard that she holds pro-Palestinian voices to. Ethan can like fall over backwards on himself saying unbelievable statements, and it's 5 hours long, it was really hard, no one's perfect, that's not what he meant. And the second anyone else does anything that she disapproves of, they should be deplatformed. Okay.
Hey guys, it's the Soft Take, or newly referred as a
dumb fucking moron.
Hila Klein, once the reserved counterpart to Ethan. She was known for her awkward charm and subtle humor. In the early days of H3, she was the shy...
He also insinuated that Afghanistan is an Arab country. He said Pakistan is an Arab country. Like, yeah, I know.
Friendly presence besides Ethan's loud personality. The things she would say were once lighthearted or grounded.
She left last time as an Israeli. She enters today as an American. Hila, how does it feel? Tell me everything.
I feel like now I can really ride it. You know, we got the flags and the balloons.
Oh yeah, sorry. I didn't get to finalize my point on that. Thank you for bringing me back. Miss Point, forget the fucking Arabs. The point is blaming the Arabs as a whole for Jewish explosion ignores the fact that these were discrete policies by individual governments, not a coordinated Arab effort.
Well, first of all, it was over decades. Like the Arab Jewish immigration to Israel was over the course of decades. Over the course of decades. And that's all amalgamated together. Some of it voluntary, some of it compelled, some of it a gray area of both. And the Nakba was 750,000 Palestinians forcibly evicted from their homes through violence and mass rape and mass executions and intimidation and military force over the course of days and weeks. It's complete, and then like it's completely not the same. It's not the same at all.
Sorry, you're right. I should have addressed that. First of all, to pretend like every single country had an expulsion of Jews for exactly the same reason because they all had the exact same hive mind is racist.
Of course it's racist.
I don't even have words for the level of racism on that. The reality is every single government for every single country that had a majority Arab people in it had different reasons on why the Jewish people left those countries. All of the French states, Morocco is the one that I'm aware of most intimately. That was a French-controlled state.
Face. Proud of your greater success lately.
There
Well
was
deserved.
Western colonial rule that pushed the Jews out. And the government in power, the Arabs that were in power, tried to protect their Jewish population. At worst, the Arab population didn't care and were apathetic to the Jewish struggle. And at best, helped to protect and wanted to protect the Jews. And that's one country. Algeria is another one where it was under French colonial rule. Like you can't look at all of these instances and then say, well, there was anti-Semitism in these countries, which means that we have to, genocide the Palestinians now? Again, when I say that, this is literally the defense that Russia uses right now for Ukraine. Literally, Russia's defense is they were attacking us first. Also, there's a bunch of Nazis that we're going to take care of. And that's why we have to invade. Functionally, that is the same thing. You're pointing at these countries, pretending like all of them are a monolith, pretending like all the people are in agreement, pretending like they are a hive mind, that every single one of these Arab people is anti-Semitic, and they all collectively decided to push the Jews out, ignoring the Nakba, ignoring French Western rule, and then using it to justify Israel's current existence as an apartheid state. What the fuck? You've lost me on every part of this. And I remember during the debate, he insisted on staying on the point about Iraqi Jews being anti-Semitic. And it's like, wait, so what? You think that Palestinians can be just genocided? Even if we take your word at face value and assume everything you say is right. And yeah, I've been seeing this shit. Ethan Klein is actually so gross for this shit, constantly pushing lies about anyone who disagrees. The Zionist ass takes. I have Zionists here for the purpose of not being banned and brigaded means being pro-Israel, believing that Israel has a right to exist, looking at the retaliation of Israel after October 7th and saying that maybe it was a little harsh, but how else were they supposed to react? That the current ethno-state that is Israel has a right to exist as is, as an ethno-state. Grimlo, thank you so much for the raid. Jesus, thank you, raiders. Welcome, raiders. Hi, guys. Hey,
DNMK comrade.
for anyone who doesn't know, I issued a demand for a public retraction of false publications to Ethan Klein.
It mostly grew out of the anti-Ottoman Empire way back. Wait, what? What are you guys trying to say?
Yesterday. And if he does not retract, I have opened a GoFundMe.
Okay, I think we've pretty much reached the end of this discussion. I don't think there's anything else in here that is super important, other than if you want to help Denims in her lawsuits against Ethan Klein, you could throw a couple bucks towards the lawsuit here on the GoFundMe.com, suing Ethan Klein for defamation legal fund. Yeah. Oh yeah, well, let me read the notice. I think she pretty much read the whole thing. Yeah, she read the whole thing. We don't need to go over it. All in all, Ethan Klein eats shit. Okay, what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the Mudahar shit. I gotta cover this.
If you want to understand the mentality of like the average person who doesn't understand politics, but the average, I'm going to dip my tippy toes into the realm of political discourse, look no further than this back and forth I have with Mudahar. Now you might know Mudahar as the sweaty dude who talks about, I don't know, niche Reddit subcultures or the dark side of the internet, stuff like that. Well, Mudahar apparently has been also chirping about how dangerous it is that I'm doing commentary on this platform. The more I see of Twitch, the more I'm surprised how Amazon hasn't cracked down on its leadership at all. Ticking time bomb, okay? The understander of political discourse. Now, why is he saying that? He's saying that because...
By the way, chat, before we go on, can we just say this is Mudahar. He's a coward, right? This is basically him going like, we need to harass Amazon to make them make it illegal to say anything bad about the US government. You're fucking Canadian. Shut the fuck up.
Also chirping about how dangerous it is that I'm doing commentary on this platform. The more I see of Twitch, the more I'm surprised how Amazon hasn't cracked down on its leadership at all. Ticking time bomb, okay? The understander of political discourse. Now, why is he saying that? He's saying that because he wants me to get banned and he wants to like get his audience to also get agitated and stressed out and push for me to get banned again, to get deplatformed again. The platform he's on, I said, YouTube, has a less strict application of terms of service for political commentary. The litter of Nazis on there constantly chirping about Twitch because I'm explaining why the Houthis are implementing a blockade against Israel's genocide. Then he replied to that and said, I'm actually speaking about the glorification of terror groups, something I know for a fact isn't allowed under the YPP, as I've assisted creators who were flagged for having ISIS jokes on their videos years ago. First of all, this doesn't mean you're knowledgeable about any kind of politics whatsoever. And this also doesn't mean you're knowledgeable about geopolitics. It doesn't mean you're knowledgeable about anything. This just means that under the YPP, you've assisted creators who were flagged for having ISIS jokes. It's completely outside of the realm of what the we're talking about. But this guy is completely incapable.
Oh no, chat. The Pope was licking Snopes articles to his relatives. He's a fucking American. You know how I was talking about how the Catholic Church survives because it has all the creepy ceremonies and uniforms and the mystery and the old marble buildings and the secret archives and the entity and the Swiss guards and the Italian gendarmes. It has all this magistry and pageantry and music and art and weird creepy shit. When the Pope's an American, it loses all that shine, okay? Yeah, it's just a guy. It's just a guy.
Of understanding nuance at all, okay? I'm not talking about
Snopes, nothing. But the point is that it's very common. It's very common for a lib to link Snopes to a relative on Facebook, okay? So the Pope is going from this like vaunted position, separated from all of us, the Father, Christ vicar on earth, to Facebook lib. You're losing a little bit there.
Political ideological extremes, that's a separate topic.
I don't need to hate the religion as you vouch for Palestinians. I'm Catholic, bro. I get to say whatever the fuck I want.
You know, I'm not a right-wing Nazi, but I'm very much against promoting terror organizations using my religion as a shield to ruin our name in front of the world. Yeah, dude, that's what's going on. You're such a good boy, you know? That's what it is. You're defending Islam by comparing the Houthis to ISIS, you dumb. You have the understanding of these different formations, okay? You have the understanding of different, like, versions of militancy, militant resistance against apartheid, or even, like, even civil war. You bracket it in the same way that, like, the average dumbass racist...
anything different from an American Pope? No. Which is why when I found out the Pope was American, I was like, no!
American brackets it. They're like, oh, they're all Muslim. They're all doing terrorism. Comparing the Houthis to ISIS is insane. Okay.
Have you covered the insane Hassan clip chip where he was so bad he messaged Dan on stream demanding a retraction? Oh yeah, Dan can't stream, needs to get sued by people. Like it's pretty much that's it. You know what I mean? Like the guy is a unhinged psycho liar, a knowing provable liar, and until he gets consequences, he's not going to stop.
You do a lot more than just explain. You endorse organizations that promote violence, bigotry, and the eradication of groups of people. I didn't expect much good faith from the champagne leftist Nepo baby, just to be clear. To which I responded with, Houthis and ISIS/Al-Qaeda are enemies, you oaf. The American government considers Cuba and DPRK to be terrorist states as well. You're crying about a ridiculous designation that Trump slapped on in 2020 to aid the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in his deadly blockade. Biden overturned it, then put it back on to aid Israel. Of course, he doesn't understand any of these concepts. My point here is, I've done a bunch of stuff that he would also consider terrorism or aiding terrorism if his designation simply was state sponsors of terror from the American State Department's designation, because that's what it is. I have interviewed a Cuban doctor who has done medical missions on this broadcast on Twitch, okay, at a time directly because Marco Rubio was.
New Ethan Klein clip has just dropped.
Buttons are open.
Oh my goodness, I was 16 years old here.
Wow, look at you guys here.
Dad's 21 and I'm 16.
Dude, if that happened today, bro, you would not.
Oh, I know.
Trouble.
I know.
21 and 16.
Well, you know what? I was more mature than he was.
Well, I believe that. I actually do believe that.
But look at her. I mean, she
San Francisco.
Like she just came off the cover of
21 and 16. Were you guys having none
of your business?
Just when you think something can't be more disgusting, Ethan Klein opens his mouth. Just when you think the situation can't get more disgusting, he talks.
What?
Let's fucking go. Did you guys,
not
feel the deal?
She was 18.
Yeah.
Not until she was 18.
We were in love.
Almost.
Oh, you lie.
That's so crazy. Yeah, you could not do that today. I mean,
no.
That would be just like, whoa there, buddy.
Yeah.
Buttons are open.
Was trying to make it illegal, okay? Marco Rubio was trying to make it illegal for Cuba to do medical missions. And I interviewed a Cuban doctor in Cuba. For the record, Cuba is a state sponsor of terror, okay? Cuba is a state sponsor of terror. Technically, that would also be illegal, or Twitch shouldn't allow this. I said this would be like demanding I get banned for interviewing a Cuban doctor in Cuba after Marco Rubio tried to make Cuba's medical missions illegal. Cuba is a designated state sponsor of terror. The entire point of the First Amendment is so I can discuss these things freely. Dumb Canadian, right? And I think he he didn't quote retweet me after that, but he still kept posting stuff. But I'm not sure. I didn't see it because I was on a plane. Oh, he said, do you think I'm using an American designation? Cute name calling, but I'm Canadian. My government and many other consider them to be a radical terrorist organization. First of all, I'm sorry to say this, okay, but Canada is America's hat, okay? What America says, Canada also follows through with. I'm not even familiar if Canada considers the Houthis to be a terrorist organization. I'd be shocked if they do. The United Nations doesn't certainly seem to think so, from what I understand. Because guess what, dude? A lot of the countries or a lot of the formations that America considers to be state sponsors of terror or terrorist organizations are ridiculous. They just do that for politics. They do that so they can just keep killing civilians over there. If you still haven't figured this out after 9/11, I don't know what the and tell you. Jesus Christ. The Houthis being designated as a terror organization was insane. Do you understand? Like, they're getting logistical support from Iran. That does not mean you are a terrorist. That's insane. That's an insane reason to be like, oh, you're a terrorist. Sorry. You are against the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in your own country because KSA has its own interests in your region, like has its own interests in your country, and you are against that. Sorry, you're a terrorist now is a psychotic reason to decide that a militancy that is up until recently only involved in a civil war in its own country is psychotic. There are many ridiculous designations, I agree. This specific designation has merit decided by numerous countries, even countries who aren't friendly with each other, he says. Again, can this man have an honest discussion without name calling like a child? They listed them as terrorists in December 2024, Lamau. Yeah, Yeah, Canada's designation is also ridiculous. Regardless, by the way, the designation of them being a terror organization also, unironically, in the United States of America, will not stop you from being able to talk about them. And it should not stop you from being able to talk about them. I remember when these types of anti-SJW slop commentary YouTubers were pro-free speech. Now they're pro-censorship social justice warriors for Israel. They were never for free speech, but it is so crazy to be anti-speech, but at the behest of Israel. It is so crazy. It is so insane to be like, no, you can't talk about the Houthis, even if they are doing something that is against Israel and you consider that to be positive. You are not allowed to say that, because that's what this is. Okay. That's literally what this is. My position on the Houthis is not like, oh, they're awesome across the board, their domestic affairs are great, or they're not homophobic, or whatever the right? My position on it is very clear, okay? In terms of resisting against Israel committing a genocide, their blockade on the Red Sea is just. Their blockade on the Red Sea is good. You should be able to say this. You should be able to say this. It is ridiculous that the likes of Mudahar and many others, these apolitical free...
By the way, the reason why Hassan's getting trapped in these debates is he doesn't realize that Mudahar doesn't care about what the right answer is, and he doesn't care to find out. It just, interacting with Hassan is a victory in and of itself. Having Hassan care what he's saying and repeat his name is all he's looking for. And so he could put titles, Hassan is so wrong, I turned him into the soy boy and me into the Chad, and post, like, that's it. It has absolutely, like, Mudahar doesn't care about what's right or what's wrong or this conflict or anything else. He's just a whiny little bitch who's trying to get any amount of clout. And I think that's part of what's a problem with politics in general, is people don't have to care about what's right or wrong. There's no rule that makes people care. They could use politics for their own ends, and there's a lot of people that do.
Speech, anti-cancel culture content creators are all losing their minds at this commentary where they go, how dare you do that? How dare you say that? What's the alternative? That we're not allowed to talk about this at all? Is that a world that you want to live in? I don't know. I don't think that's an appropriate thing to advocate for. Oh, they actually don't care, Hassan. They just want you deplatformed. I know, but what do you want me to do? Not address how inconsistent and incredibly hypocritical?
No, you should. You should. So everybody who's fair and neutral will see what's going on and laugh at that fucking loser.
Is like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just sit around as they constantly churn out and like whip up their fan bases into actively trying to deplatform me. I'm not going to stop pointing out this ridiculous idea, especially because these people have no understanding. Notice how he didn't respond to anything here except the American designation. Where does this designation come from? It comes from America. Who is the real reason why the Houthis were ever placed on a terrorism list? America. That was, at the time, when Donald Trump did this in 2020, on his way out, that was already a controversial decision because it actually limited humanitarian aid from going into Yemen at a time when it was critical, at a time when it was a necessity. The al-Houthi family were already sanctioned by the United States of America. The al-Houthi family also did not actually participate in any sort of global network of trade. They're in Yemen. Okay, so they didn't even end up sanctioning anything serious. All they did was implement a further blockade upon the Yemen population, the civilian population that was starving due to the famines that were created by the Saudi Arabian government. How did they do that? With what weapons did they do that? I might add, our weapons. How else did they do that in Yemen? Oh, that's right, through Al-Qaeda, an actual internationally designated terror organization. Looping all of these guys up and being like, well, that's just like making jokes about ISIS. Like, no, it's not the same as making jokes about ISIS. Perhaps that's the reason why I don't make jokes about ISIS, actually. Perhaps that's the reason why I'm not a fan of ISIS or Al-Qaeda. Like, this is my job. I don't go to your job. I don't go tell you what to do with a Steam Deck. You know what I mean? Like, if I were to tweet constantly about like Mudahar's Steam Deck reviews are ass, he doesn't understand how to operate Linux or whatever, everyone would make fun of me. Everyone would be like, dude, what the are you talking about? You don't know anything. Shut the up. Stay in your own goddamn lane, politics, man. But when it comes to politics, you can just lean on the stupidity of the audience and just directly yell at a guy who knows more than you do while in the process of demonstrating your idiocy. And people who are also just as idiotic will go, yeah, you did it, King. You did it. My argument here and my anger here and my resentment here is about the stupidity and the entitlement of these dumbasses who just sit there and demonstrate their lack of intellectual curiosity on this process and yell at those who actually do approach the subject matter with a little bit more nuance than you would normally get. And they yell at motherfuckers like me for doing this. That's what's so crazy. They're like, no, it's not enough that I am intellectually incurious, but I want others to also not be intellectually curious either. How dare you? How dare you talk about the nuances and the differences in both methods and ideology of different kinds of militancies? How dare you not just say, these guys are just like ISIS, they're terrorists because America said so? What the If there is a comparison here to be made, it is between Israel and ISIS, who have aligned time and time again. Okay,
well, that's what I mean. What's so funny is like people like Destiny or people like Asmongold will use Saudi Arabia as an example of just how backward Islam is, and then the biggest allies of Saudi Arabia are the United States of America.
Goddamn, or Al-Qaeda and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the United States of America in opposition to groups like the Houthis. Yeah, he said even countries that aren't allies, but the countries that aren't allies are Saudi Arabia.
H3 directly smears Assad on his weak show. Dan has been directly asked to rectify.
Now they most likely clipped me being sarcastic and actually attacking that argument to make it seem like I'm in favor of it. Let's take a look. Arabs that wanted to collaborate with America basically said, no, you don't understand. It's actually the Israeli lobby that dominates. It's actually the Jews that dominate America. I mean, I also don't disagree with what he's saying. I often will talk about obviously AIPAC and the wait, what? This is literally me describing once again that no, Jews do not control America, and people are fucking stupid and anti-Semitic for saying that. This clip is directly me responding to Hassan Nasrallah's position. What the fuck? And the Zionist lobby. Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah, the U.S. can force Israel to do anything. Arabs invented the joke that the Jewish lobby controls America in order to excuse their financial ties to the U.S. and they're refraining from fight from Israel. That's so funny. He's saying that like Arabs that wanted to collaborate with America basically said, no, you don't understand. It's actually the Israeli lobby that dominates. It's actually the Jews that dominate America. I mean, I also don't disagree with what he's saying. I often will talk about, obviously, like, don't disagree with what Hassan Nasrallah is saying, which is directly attacking the argument that Jews control America and the Zionist lobby. But will always tell you it is far beyond that the Zionist lobby, alongside the NRA, for example, alongside many of these institutions, are not capable of, like, legitimately changing the status quo, which is why you can't lobby the American Congress and turn them socialist, okay? It's a laughable notion. The money corresponds to the moneyed interests and is there in times of need, okay? Right now is a time of need. Right now, AIPAC is working desperately round the clock to ensure that American congresspersons don't fuck up and, don't speak out of turn. And if they do speak out of turn, if they do speak against the American State Department interests, that they will turn around and punish them. Jamal Bowman is a great example of this, but they are not personally changing someone's mind dramatically. It's like a pro-union guy receives 50K campaigns dollars from the UAW. It's not a bribe if you agree with it. Yes.
Okay. I've heard this conversation many times. It's important that I just inject my take on it here, which is when there is a lot of money behind a position and you're a politician and you don't have any strong feelings on an issue because it's not relevant to you, and you're told if you take this position you'll get millions of dollars, and if you take the contrary position you'll have millions of dollars spent against you, then politicians are going to choose to take the millions of dollars unless there is a big electoral cost, meaning your odds of winning go dramatically down. That is the calculus that's being created. And then it just becomes, well, everybody takes that money. Right? So why should I take that money? Why shouldn't I do it? And it becomes a self-perpetuating cycle where you have a position that eventually gets so out of line with what the voters want that the political class is completely siloed off. And that's what we have on Israel. The vast majority of people on both sides of the aisle combined, when you combine the American people, they don't support what's going on in Gaza. They don't support what the U.S. is doing. The question is, are they going to come out and vote on that issue? And a lot of people said it wouldn't matter in 2024. I said it would, and I was right. And all the people saying it wouldn't matter are now saying, well, you are to blame for everything that happened with Trump. Instead of saying, like, you know what, I was wrong. This actually is an important issue. People were coming out and not voting based on this issue. I should have counseled Kamala Harris to make that break from the Israeli lobby. Instead of doing that, they want to point fingers elsewhere for their own fuck up. And I told you from the very top that it was going to result in this outcome.
بياكد كل اللي كنا نقوله سابقا انه لا الامريكان بس بدهم يشغلوا يوقفوها انه الامريكي ما بيقدر يفرض على اسرائيل هذا حكي فاضي توفيق نظريات انه اسرائيل هي حكم امريكا لا حبيبي امريكا
No, sir, it is America that controls Israel. The story about the Jewish and the Zionist lobby is, forgive me for saying this, a joke invented by the Arabs so they do not have to fight Israel. Didn't you say do not engage with dumb people in the chat? Don't bother contacting. They don't fuck with you, brother. Wasting your energy. Look, I sent Dan this exact link and also told him, hey, Dan, I don't know why they're trying to imply I'm saying Jews control America using a clip where I'm actually railing against people saying this. I really hope you guys can clear this up. Yeah, you sent it to Dan, but Dan's a lying enabler at this point, too. I mean, we'll see.
What happened with the
We'll see how
Innuendo
he reacts to
Studios
it.
guy? Okay, we got to see this.
Dan is complicit. You fucking rube. This shit happens every stream. We will have to do this for every clip, every episode that they do. It's nothing new. But this is one of the most vicious smears. Yeah, it's a direct. It is a direct lie.
By the way, Dan likes smearing Hassan. It is what it is. All right, hold on, chat. I want to see this. Innuendo Studios, who's one of my favorite content creators. I really like his videos. He's like one of the best center-left creators of making dissecting how the alt-right is. Has just posted a video. Okay, I need to change this title because I don't want people to think it's me. I am not bankrupt. Not even close.
Hey everyone, Ian from Innuendo Studios here. Here to let you know that for the time being, Innuendo Studios is taking a break. I'm not sure for how long, and there's a chance it might be permanent. Well, you've seen the title of the video, so that is not hyperbole. It's not strictly speaking true. Like bankruptcy is only one of several options right now, but it is a very real and likely possibility. I've been saying that doing this job is making ends meet for a while, and it has in the sense that most months I end with my bank account at least nominally in the positive. Not all, but most. But if making ends meet is supposed to entail things like being able to settle up your credit card debt or settle up personal loans you take from friends and loved ones, or being able to pay the 30% in taxes that freelancers own every April, taking a full account, I have been running this channel at a loss for 7 years, and between back taxes I owe the government, a maxed out credit card that is in collections, and money I owe to a few people who've bailed me out, I have a total accumulated debt that is pushing $100,000. And I'm not going to say I'm perfect at managing money. There wasn't a life I could have been living these past 7 years where I would have earned $100,000 more than I did. So, backers on Patreon already know about this. When I told them, it was framed as, I'm gonna probably do some kind of fundraiser or do a Patreon relaunch. There's a bunch of stuff I've been doing over on Patreon that I still hadn't even announced here on YouTube yet. But I just can't take it anymore. This is just a lot of strain to put on me and to put on my family. And I've felt for a long time that I'm on the verge of, kind of making it. I've been dancing around the periphery for a while, back in 2020, right before COVID happened, the numbers were really doing good. The Patreon was really solid. I was making more money than I'd ever made. And it really seemed like... I'm not trying to beat up on Innuendo Studios because I don't know his situation, but I could just say that I think one of the challenges for him is that he didn't put out many videos. He was pretty consistent. He's pretty consistent with with some of the videos 4 or 5 years ago, during the COVID period, you could see he has a whole bunch of videos 5-6 years ago, right? But then, it's he has the Gamergate end note, which was a reposted talk of him speaking. Then a year went by and he did a couple videos, and then a year went by. Then he posted a bunch of videos again. He was getting more consistent again. But there wasn't a ton of output. He was getting a lot of subscribers. A lot of people have found value in this, but I think that, I don't know about YouTubers, but I stream 5 hours a day,
5 days a week. That's a lot of content. I'm putting out thousands and thousands of hours of content every year. Now, I'm not saying a YouTuber needs to put out thousands and thousands of hours of content, but like, I think one of the big problems is YouTube is incentivized and it is structured in a way where you either need to get a large Patreon following that's just giving you money no matter what you do, or you need to be putting out a lot more videos. You need more consistency. And, you know, I think here there is definitely value in this channel. And I also don't know what his expenses are. And I don't know what debt he came into this situation with. And I don't know his living situation. And I don't know, you know, I can't really evaluate his financial position. That being said, you know, as a content creator, you know, it is what it is.
It was going to keep heading that way. And then they just started to dip. And it's never really recovered. You know, once I hurt my back and I couldn't work for a while, and life just got more expensive.
Oh, so there it is. It was the back injury that did it.
It's really seeming, especially with joining Nebula and everything, it keeps feeling like if I could just hang on a little longer, I get it cracked. And I.
By the way, there's nothing wrong with declaring bankruptcy. Like, if you feel like you're behind on your debts, declare bankruptcy, get them restructured. You know, you'll pay a lot less, and you know, it is what it is. There's nothing wrong with that, especially because of a medical situation. Your life isn't over if you declare bankruptcy. Actually, your life is probably, if you're able to declare bankruptcy, oftentimes that could be the sign to like turn your life around. It doesn't fucking matter, honestly.
Become one of those like fully self-sustained people, and maybe I would, you know, maybe if I could hold on a little longer, I would. But
this is legitimately one of the things that I think is, again, I'm not trying to beat up on him. I'm just trying to give solid advice, which is bankruptcy is not that big a deal. It's literally not that big a deal. It's not the end of the world. It's not that big a deal. Like, if you feel like your assets minus liabilities is negative, declare bankruptcy. If you, assuming it's not student loans that are getting you into the negatives, in which case you can't. But if it's any other debt, if it's credit card debt, if it's medical debt, if it's business debt, declare bankruptcy. Who gives a fuck? Nobody fucking cares. Banks don't even care, honestly. If you're cash flow negative, if the payments you're making on debts are greater than your income, fucking declare bankruptcy. It's not that big a deal.
I can't keep struggling in the meantime.
I mean, if you're struggling because of credit card debt, declare bankruptcy.
For now, we're going to call this a sabbatical. I'm not officially quitting. It's possible I will find part-time work, which means that, you know, if it's enough hours that it brings in decent money that I could supplement Patreon and AdSense with, I could keep doing this part-time, which is, you know, when I started out, that's what it was. It was a thing I was juggling with freelancing in school. So maybe that's an option. I have to see what's out there. But at least for the next month or so, kind of my mindset is to live my life with the question, what if I wasn't a YouTuber? Like, how would I spend my time? Where would I put my energies? What would I work on? You didn't always have that gnawing feeling of like, I should be working on my video. You know, what would my home look like? What would my social life look like? How would my free time look? Free time is a concept.
Could I take out loans to pay back my student debt and then declare bankruptcy? That would probably be seen as some sort of fraudulent, improper distribution. You're not allowed to preferentially treat debt. You're not allowed to like pay off a debt and then declare bankruptcy. They'll claw that back. That's seen as impermissible preferential treatment. You're not allowed to do that. You have to treat, when you're bankrupt, you have to treat all your creditors as pro rata equivalent, unless they have some sort of claim on like collateralized for property or something. You can't just like do that. You can't go like, I'm going to pay this guy off instead of this guy. You're not allowed to do that.
We're just going to see what that's like. So maybe part-time work, maybe the channel sticks around in some capacity, you know, maybe I'll do something that leaves me energy on the weekends. Maybe I'll collaborate with people. But right now I'm not promising anything.
I just feel like, for me, I'm surprised that his videos were his full-time job. Like, it's not, I really liked how they were written and they were really well put together and they were entertaining and well recorded, but they didn't seem like they were super intense. It didn't see, there wasn't like live action, there wasn't like multiple other people, there wasn't like really extensive animations. It was relatively simple stuff. For me, it was mostly the arguments and the way it was written. It is surprising that he's saying that this was his entire full-time gig.
I've been doing this for 11 years, and it's weird to say that it is the most financially stable I've ever been, because when I started this job, I was only a year or two off of food stamps, you know? But it's just never made the kind of income that lets you trust that you're going to be able to cover your expenses 3-4 months from now. You know, I have no savings. There's nothing for retirement. I owe more than I make in a year, outside of a few.
Yeah, you should definitely declare bankruptcy. In fact, I wouldn't give you money. I would tell you to declare bankruptcy. Like, if you came to me in this situation and asked for advice, the only money I would give you is to pay for a bankruptcy attorney. I wouldn't give you any other money than that. Like, you're drowning from interest and you can't pay your debts. You are bankrupt. It's exactly what it's for. I don't know what do people think bankruptcy means? Like, I think there's a connotation of bankruptcy that I don't know. Like, what do you guys think bankruptcy means? Like,
if you lived in ancient Greece and were unable to pay your debts, the system came down pretty hard. Your creditor could put you and your family into debt bondage and force you to work however he saw fit until your debts were paid off or you died.
Today, thankfully, in the vast majority of the world, debt slavery is a figure of speech as opposed to, well, real slavery. But the stress caused by mounting debt can still feel like you're dragging along a ball and chain.
Massive medical bills, spiraling credit cards, out of control student loans can make the strongest among us weak.
First of all, it's not irreparably damaged. Your credit score gets fixed after like 7 years. And unless you're borrowing to buy a lot of shit, what do you need your credit score for anyway? If you're living paycheck to paycheck and hand to mouth, like, what are you talking about? And by the way, people will loan to people who are fresh out of bankruptcy because they understand that you don't have any other debts.
At the knees.
If only there was some magic phrase you could just shout to make it all disappear.
I declare bankruptcy!
As you know, and Michael Scott quickly learns, bankruptcy isn't just a word you declare and your debts disappear. It's a complicated legal status that is designed to provide relief to those who are financially insolvent.
If you've cut your expenses down to a bare bones lifestyle and still can't make minimum payments on your loans, it might be time to think about bankruptcy. That relief can seem like a life preserver when you're caught in a rising.
Bankruptcy is one of the most radically left-wing ideas that are in our Constitution. Like, that's what people don't understand about bank. They think of the reason why you're shamed is because banks don't want you to have bankruptcy, because it's the get out of jail free card that the government specifically creates in our Constitution because we don't want people to be living like that. We don't want people to be profiting off of someone to the point where they're totally stuck.
Sea of debts, but how does bankruptcy work? What are the risks? And can it really make all of your problems disappear?
In the United States, there are multiple forms of bankruptcy you can declare for debt relief. There's bankruptcy for businesses, farmers, even municipalities. But the most common forms of personal bankruptcy you'll hear people talk about are Chapter 7 and Chapter 13.
The first thing you need to know is that, believe it or not, it actually costs money to file for bankruptcy. $335, in fact, to file for a Chapter 7 and $310 for a Chapter 13. If you choose to hire a bankruptcy lawyer, you will also be responsible for paying the lawyer's fees, which will likely be somewhere between $1,500 and $4,000, depending on which kind you file for and the complexity of the case.
Chapter 7 bankruptcy is a liquidation bankruptcy where non-exempt
Mike, I mean this seriously. I wish more leftists and people in general had your ability to soberly respond to these sorts of situations. Too many people on the Libby side of the aisle be responding to this video with sappy but loosest platitudes, and you responded with sober and honest good advice. People are too nice, and that's a problem. I mean, I hear what's going on. Like, I get it. Like, the guy's, it's perfectly logical to feel depressed. I mean, he's recording in a dark room about how he's bankrupt, and he probably is. But that's not that big a deal. It's not that big a deal. You go, you get your bankruptcy, you figure out what you can get liquidated. And here's the thing about liquidation bankruptcy, Chapter 7. There are so many things you get to keep. You get to keep a lot of shit. The law protects it, and the banks are not going to come take your clothes out of it unless you have like a really rare collection of like, Birkins or something. The bank is not going to be able to come into your house and take your shit. They're probably just not even going to give a fuck. You get to keep almost everything. Like, it's actually based. Bankruptcy, like when I heard Donald Trump declared bankruptcy 6 times, a lot of people scoffed at that. That made me realize he's a dangerous operator who makes rational decisions for his own advantage and doesn't care what anybody thinks. That's actually an asset. That's a good thing. If Donald Trump was in the position to declare bankruptcy 6 times or whatever and still be a businessman, he's better at this than you think. It's the person who never, ever, ever uses the things that they can for their own advantage that's going to be dog shit at this.
Property is sold and used to pay off your debt. It's generally meant for people with limited incomes who do not have the ability to pay back all or some portion of their debts. But the government doesn't just allow anyone to file for it.
First, you must pass the Chapter 7 means test. The easiest way to pass is if your annual income is below your state's median. This number usually falls between $40,000 and $70,000, again, depending on your state. You can find the specifics for each state here. If your income isn't low enough, you might still be able to pass the test by proving you don't have a lot of disposable income. To find out if you pass either of these tests, you can simply fill out government forms 122A1 and 2.
If you qualify, the court will decide what is up for grabs to sell off. But states usually have a list of personal property exemptions, such as a basic vehicle, some equity in your home, even cash you've got in your bank accounts and retirement savings.
Do you get what I'm saying? Oh, well, we're going to take everything except your house, your retirement savings, and your car. What else do you need? Like, what? Okay. Everything that a poor or middle-class person actually needs is protected. Who gives a shit? Declare bankruptcy.
So you won't end up living on the street or without transportation. If you're married and filing together, that can typically double the value of exemptions.
But there's definitely downsides. You won't be allowed to use credit cards for quite a while, maybe years. And those student loans you hate, yeah, the lenders will have to stop harassing you with calls, but they're not going anywhere. Unfortunately, student loans are not eligible for forgiveness.
If you can't meet the requirements of Chapter 7, you might want to check out
That's Joe Biden did that, by the way.
13, also known as reorganization bankruptcy. Your property is not sold when you file, but you will be required to complete a 3 to 5 year court-mandated payment plan.
If you play by the court's rules and don't miss a payment, any unsecured debts that remain after that time period, like credit cards and medical bills, may be discharged or forgiven. To be eligible, you have to have regular income, unsecured debts under $394,725, and secured debts under $1,184,200.
But, as with Chapter 7, even if you successfully complete the process, there are certain types of debts not eligible for forgiveness, like tax debt, child support, and, yep, once again, student loans.
It's also probably no surprise that bankruptcy can dramatically decrease your credit score and will stay on your report for 7 to 10 years. This can cause issues with potentially finding a place to rent or even change jobs, since many employers now look at credit reports. But if you were already behind on your debt payments before you filed, your credit score is most likely already shot, and it won't make it that much worse. And don't despair. Bad credit scores are like broken bones. They're designed to heal over time, assuming you follow doctor's orders and don't engage in the behavior that broke it in the first place.
Keep in mind, this bankruptcy is also going to be on public record. It's not like you'll be forced to wear a scarlet B on your chest, but if the court decides to take your payments from your paychecks directly, your employer will be notified, as will any co-signers that may be on your loans.
Then there's one last thing you'll be required to do. Before your debts are discharged, you'll have to attend an approved course on consumer debt. These tend to focus on financial education and lessons on budgeting, and are designed to help prevent you filing for bankruptcy again. If there were only a place to learn these lessons beforehand.
Bankruptcy is not a simple or fast process. Filing and acceptance can take many months, and you have to be 100% diligent about following every court order to the letter and paying every bill you're still on the hook for, like property taxes and student loans.
If it's used as a last resort, bankruptcy can offer you the relief you need. It might put you through the ringer, but at some point it will end and you can start over.
And that's our 2 cents.
Thanks to our patrons.
Like, and the other thing that people don't understand is when you declare bankruptcy, no debt collector can bother you again. And if a debt collector tries to borrow you again, they're committing a crime. So when they say discharge, that means the debt gets ripped up and you don't owe anything ever. Like, it's not that big a deal. It really isn't that big a deal. If you get into a situation where you have unsecured debt, that means debt that's not against property, and you can't afford to make the payments, and you don't have a ton of other assets, declare fucking bankruptcy now, and then you could get to the point where you're no longer underneath it. A lot of people get to the situation where if they didn't have their debt payments, they would be able to save. But because they have so much debt, they can't save anything. And they get trapped in this cycle where they're buried by the interest. And bankruptcy gives you that opportunity to get rid of all those debts, where it's like, just what are your expenses versus what is your income, and you could actually start to save again. And instead of having interest working against you, it's working in your favor.
Big names, probably almost all of your favorite YouTubers are doing worse than you think. So for the time being, I'm gonna leave the Patreon turned on, at least for like a few months. There's a bunch of stuff I do on Patreon that, like, I haven't even announced it here on YouTube.
That's a pretty bad use of your platform, man.
I've been doing it for like a year and change now. I do these little projects where, like, I have a film randomizer list. It's like a list of, this year's list is like 36 movies, where I hit shuffle on Letterboxd and watch whichever one comes up first and try to get through the whole list by the end of the year. And I write little reviews for them. Or I have like a video game cabinet, just games I'm trying to get through before the end of the year. I do a reading log, and I make a playlist, a 6-song playlist every month that I share with patrons. And I really enjoy doing that, and it doesn't take a ton of time and energy. So, like, I'm probably going to keep doing that. And there's a project I do with Willow from the channel Questing Refuge. I also haven't announced this on YouTube yet. It was supposed to be part of this Patreon relaunch that I guess I'm not doing anymore. But we are doing weekly adventure game reviews. I have a list of 50 games and like a really overly complicated rating system. I'm trying to make like a 50 game adventure game tier list. And so these little 1-minute reviews that we release every Monday, and that's over on Nebula, but also patrons, like every month I do a supercut of all the ones I did that month, so like patrons get that as well. Willow and I work well together. Writing and graphics are what comes easy for me, and editing is always kind of a slog, and they're like the exact opposite. Like editing comes really easy for them, and they always get like, they have a really hard time with writing. So that project has been actually surprisingly like easy for both of us. So I'm going to see that through to the end of the year. And there'll be like a supercut of all 52 videos, intro.
I think my main takeaway from this video, and I think I'm good, is I'm glad to hear that he's working on this stuff. I'm glad that he's pursuing bankruptcy. It sounds like bankruptcy is exactly what he needs. And I would just love to see more content. If he could figure out a way to produce more content, I'll be happy to help promote it, and to do what I can to help boost him. You know what I mean? There's no shame in being bankrupted if you get behind on debt. And content creation is a difficult game, guys. It's a difficult game. It's hard to get to the point where you are supporting yourself. Alrighty, let's move on to Some more news. There's a new GDF video out I wanted to watch about why India is attacking Pakistan. This is like one of the most important simmering stories that's happening in the world today. I guess the Pax Americana is coming to an end, huh?
Covering news is fraught with challenges. A developing story continues to change.
Did I say DDF? GGF? GDF. I just, toasty. Reminder of that we talked in DMs. Oh, yeah. Hold on. I hate how every single fucking chatting thing has a different... There, did that work? Okay, there we go. Let's go. Okay.
As you report on it. It's very early still in the story of the recent flare-up of tension between India and Pakistan. The catalyst, an attack on tourists in the serene Pahalgam area, is still shrouded in mystery and contradicting reports. More will become clear with time, hopefully. Like in any asymmetric conflict, Pakistan has provided a necessary...
I haven't seen you watch Cody Shody in a while. I'm out of the loop on him because his videos are getting longer and longer. They're now like 3 hours fucking long. And I'm sorry, but I'm not watching a 3-hour video.
Necessary sanctuary state for guerrillas fighting Indian control over the Kashmir Valley. The NLF in Vietnam had the Ho Chi Minh Trail as sanctuary in neighboring Laos and Cambodia. Pakistan has served as a sanctuary state in other conflicts as well, notably for the Mujahideen fighting the Soviets in the 1980s. Absent a sanctuary, as in Chechnya, the insurgency slowly withers on the vine. But Pakistan's role in Kashmir may have diminished somewhat. Zia Rahman reported for the New York Times from Karachi that Pakistan's support for Kashmiri separatist groups has been undermined by increased financial scrutiny from watchdogs. He consulted Majid Nizami, an expert on jihadist groups who is based in Lahore, who said that heightened security from the Financial Action Task Force, a Paris-based global financial watchdog, had pressured Pakistan to impose restrictions on Lashkar-e-Taiba's leaders and confiscate the group's financial assets. Tightened border controls by India have also made infiltration across the line of control almost impossible, Mr. Nizami said, referring to the de facto border between Pakistan and India in Kashmir. Mujib Mashal as well raised doubts, writing in the Times, reporting from Delhi, 5 days after the terrorist assault, in which gunmen killed 26 civilians, India has not officially identified any group as having carried out the massacre, and it has publicly presented little evidence to support its claim that Pakistan was behind it. The Pakistani government has denied involvement. As for the attack, a little-known group calling itself the Resistance Front emerged on social media to say it was behind the massacre, according to Indian news outlets. Reporting on the attack shortly after, Reuters quoted a little-known militant group, the Kashmir Resistance, which claimed responsibility for the attack in a social media message. It expressed discontent that more than 85,000 outsiders had been settled in the region, spurring a demographic change. Consequently, violence will be directed toward those attempting to settle illegally, it said. The Resistance Front subsequently published a statement which claimed
a French Raphael was down by a Chinese J-10. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Do you guys have reports on that? Like, I heard that on social media about Chinese Air Force or Chinese jets shooting down French jets. Now, obviously flown by Pakistan and India, respectively. Mike didn't play the Mustafa video, and now the chats are atrocious. What Mustafa video?
The previous statement attributed to them was deceptive. The Resistance Front unequivocally denies any involvement in the Pahalgam incident. Any attribution of this act to TRF is false, hasty, and part of an orchestrated campaign to malign the Kashmiri resistance. Shortly after the attack in Pahalgam, a brief and unauthorized message was posted from one of our digital platforms. After an internal audit, we have reason to believe it was the result of a coordinated cyber intrusion, a familiar tactic in the Indian state's digital warfare arsenal. This is not the first time India has manufactured chaos for political gain. You can't speak of the partition of 1947 without mentioning that it was a hideous historical period. Kashmir proved to be a microcosm of the violence that plagued the subcontinent. The dispute reportedly traces back to an initiative by the Hindu ruler of the princely state of Kashmir, Hari Singh, to create a Hindu-majority Jammu, south of the Kashmir Valley. At the time, Jammu was overwhelmingly Muslim. According to Idris Kant, a fellow at the International Institute of Social History, the immediate impact of partition was in Jammu. The Muslim subjects from different parts of Jammu province were forcibly displaced by the Dogra army in a program of expulsion and murder carried out over 3 weeks between October to November 1947. Many tens of thousands were reportedly killed. As a result, writes Rifat Farid, the Muslims, who constituted more than 60% of the population of Jammu region, were reduced to a minority after the killings and displacement. 5 days after the Jammu killings, tribal militias from Pakistan's northwestern frontier province, where many of the Jammu Muslims had family ties, invaded Kashmir. After which the King Hari Singh signed the Instrument of Accession with New Delhi, which sent its army to fight the tribesmen.
I was looking
the
for
fighting
something a
of
little
several
bit more
weeks between tribesmen and the Indian
interesting than
army
the text
eventually
only
led
article.
to the First India-Pakistan War. When New Delhi and Islamabad agreed to a ceasefire in January 1948, the former princedom of Jammu and Kashmir was divided between the two countries. To clarify, inside the border of the old princely state contains not only Kashmir, but also Ladakh, Jammu, Gilgit-Baltistan, Aksai Chin. The Kashmir Valley, or Kashmir District, containing some 7 million Muslim-majority Kashmiris, is controlled by India. Grievances over political representation led to insurgency, which was met with counterinsurgency. Kashmir became very militarized. Indeed, for years, New Delhi has stationed hundreds of thousands of troops in the region. India and Pakistan fought some 3
this
wars
is probably
over
one of the most important disputed areas in the entire world.
the territory.
The other is a disputed area between China and India.
The last one in the late 90s. A number of obstacles obscure the reporting on the military deployment in Kashmir and all of the indignities associated with what's effectively a military occupation. First and foremost is censorship by India. I personally have very limited experience in this regard, as I was contacted by YouTube's legal department over a video I made on Kashmir. The video, according to India's Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, violated their Information Technology Act. Per Section 69A, in the interest of sovereignty and integrity of India, defense of India, security of the state, friendly relations with foreign states or public order, or for preventing incitement, the government may block for access by the public any information generated, transmitted, received, stored, or hosted in any computer resource. The intermediary who fails to comply shall be punished with an imprisonment for a term which may extend to 7 years. Of course, this is just a personal anecdote. It pales in comparison to the Indian government's use of internet shutdowns. An interesting research project called Free Speech Tracker, developed by the Software Freedom Law Center in India, has a helpful heat map showing internet shutdowns by state. Tracking internet shutdowns since 2012, the second most shutdowns occurred in Rajasthan, with 104. Jammu and Kashmir had 442. After India revoked Kashmir's...
India is now taking down sites of major newspapers and banned 8,000 Twitter accounts. Jesus.
Semi-autonomous status in 2019.
Yeah, Modi hates free
An internet
speech.
blackout lasted until February 2021, 18 months in total. In May of 2021, not long after internet had been restored to Kashmir, a piece in an issue of Harvard Law Review analyzed India's settler colonial agenda in Kashmir. On August 5, 2019, the Indian government revoked the autonomous status of Jammu and Kashmir. Before this, only Kashmiris could own property in a region that India has long claimed as its own. Now, the Indian government unearthed a fear that Kashmiris had been wrestling with since independence, that India would recruit non-Kashmiri settlers to dilute the region's ethnic and religious makeup.
You need an Israel-like solution to Kashmir.
As non-Kashmiris flood the region as new residents.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's why you see so many Indian Hindutvas supporting what's going on in Kashmir. is because they see it as like Israel.
India's identity as a settler state comes to the fore, illustrating the militarization of the region. Although an official number has never been released, activists conservatively estimate that almost 700,000 members of the Indian Army are stationed in Kashmir. This reportedly amounts to one armed person for every 17 civilians and roughly 7 armed personnel to every square kilometer of land in the region, securing Kashmir's title as one of the world's most densely militarized regions.
I'll have a better plan for guests.
As observed by the Jammu and Kashmir Coalition of Civil Society, it is pertinent to note that in the full-fledged wars being waged in Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, and the Israeli occupation of Palestine, the military deployment is far less than the level of militarization in Jammu and Kashmir. The Indian occupation has resulted in widespread and systematic violence, including the disappearance of 8,000 persons and 70,000 deaths.
This is the whole truth.
Kashmir today shakes under the stampede of Indian security forces. The air is thick with a drone of army vehicles. Every neighborhood is laid under siege every day.
I interviewed an 82-year-old Kashmiri woman who had been raped by 10 Indian soldiers. It's a very difficult thing for a Muslim woman to admit she has been violated. But for this 82-year-old great-grandmother of many children, it was outrageous. I interviewed a 10-year-old child, a little girl named Shakila, who was shot through the face, and her whole right eye was blown away, her face was blown away, and I interviewed her. She's surviving with 40 blood transfusions. I interviewed men who've had their clothes taken off in the streets of Srinagar to humiliate them, naked. Then gunpowder sprayed all over their body and set on fire. I filmed those things. I interviewed those people. I have never seen such abuse anywhere else in the world.
Eyewitness obtained exclusive amateur footage of the Sopore incident this January, when a BSF contingent allegedly rampaged through the town, burning hundreds of homes and killing over 40 people.
At any given moment, the security forces can set fire to houses, marketplaces, even entire townships, as evident in Handwara, Kaudara, Sopore, Anantnag, and Bijbihara.
It seems clear that the recent attack at Pahalgam is but a minor footnote in a blood-soaked history. The insurgency lost the momentum it had in the 1990s, but it never fully dissipated. The last serious confrontation between India and Pakistan followed an attack on Indian security forces traveling by bus. A suicide bomber killed 40 of them. India bombed targets inside Pakistan, accusing Islamabad of supporting the attackers. In retaliation, Pakistan shot down an Indian jet and captured the pilot. Cooler heads prevailed when Pakistan returned the pilot to India. This episode highlights the fragile and unpredictable nature of escalation and de-escalation. It seems as though circumstances had to align almost perfectly to pull both sides back from the brink. Had the plane not been shot down, or had the pilot been killed on impact, the outcome might have been very different. I became concerned about this most recent situation upon reading Sushant Singh in Foreign Affairs. The alarming headline, "India and Pakistan are perilously close to the brink." The situation cooled in 2019, thanks in large part to good fortune. Indian fighter jets missed targets and did not kill anyone inside Pakistan. The Indian pilot survived and was returned promptly by Pakistani forces. And both governments used their control over domestic media to claim victory. Today, however, the conditions are not as conducive to de-escalation.
I say to the whole world, India will identify, track, and punish every terrorist and their backer.
With Modi's rhetoric leaving little room for compromise, Pakistan's military leadership under pressure to respond forcefully to any Indian strike, and China's growing involvement in the region, events in Kashmir risk triggering uncontrollable escalation. As opposed to previous hostilities, now Modi's rhetoric has boxed him in. Having set a precedent, he faces intense public and political pressure to respond forcefully to each new attack. The government's incessant focus on punishing Pakistan, stirred by hyper-nationalist Indian media coverage, has narrowed the space for de-escalation. Across the border, Pakistan is mired in severe political and...
I'm worried about a lot of things. First of all, the Pakistani government just did a military coup of the democratically elected leader. I'm worried about pogroms of Indian Muslims and non-Hindu citizens in retaliation for Indian military humiliation. Like this is really bad. And then in the context of Israel destroying international law, how can places like the United Nations or diplomacy be used to try to contain India's aggression when when Israel is doing a genocide with the U.S.'s support?
Economic crisis, with its military, the country's most powerful institution, deeply unpopular, and its most popular political leader, the former Prime Minister Imran Khan, languishing behind bars. The military could use conflict with India over Kashmir to shore up its legitimacy. In addition, Pakistan's military doctrine of quid pro quo plus retaliation means that any Indian strike, no matter how limited, will be met with a response designed to inflict equal or greater pain. That imperative risks fueling rapid, uncontrollable escalation. The most dangerous scenario is one in which an Indian military response provokes a stronger Pakistani counterstrike, setting off a chain reaction that neither side can easily control. With both countries on high alert and nationalist sentiment running hot, the risk of miscalculation or accidental escalation is far greater than analysts and the public seem to understand.
I feel like we're fucked.
In the worst case scenario, this could rapidly spiral into a full-fledged war, shadowed by the threat of the use of nuclear weapons and the prospect of catastrophic destruction across South Asia. That the 2019 crisis ended peacefully is no guarantee that the next one will as well.
I kind of feel like the Indian failure, like so many Indian jets being shot down from
nuclear-armed states cannot depend on luck to head off.
Could lead to de-escalation. Because, when you lose 5 fighter jets or whatever this early,
off
you don't
a potentially calamitous escalatory spiral. The 2 weeks after the Pahalgam attack saw small arms fire exchanges across the line of control, along with missile tests and drills. A major diplomatic crisis ensued, including a total Indian ban on all goods from Pakistan. 2 weeks to the day, Reuters reported from Pakistan-administered Azad Jammu and Kashmir, multiple loud explosions were heard in several places in Pakistan.
Partially due to Indian mainstream media embarrassing itself? Go on.
Kashmir on Wednesday, as India said it had attacked terrorist infrastructure in 9 sites, and Pakistan vowed to respond to the attacks. India announced in a statement, "A little while ago, the Indian Armed Forces launched Operation Sindoor, hitting terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, from where terrorist attacks against India have been planned and directed. Our actions have been focused, measured, and non-escalatory in nature. No Pakistani military facilities have been targeted. India has demonstrated considerable restraint in selection of targets and method of execution." The Karachi-based Dawn reported shortly after, the Pakistan military has brought down 3 Indian jets in retaliation for late-night strikes by its neighboring country launched after midnight at the sites of Kotli, Bahawalpur, Meridike, Bar, and Muzaffarabad, state media reported.
According to Bloomberg, they're saying Pakistan shot down 5 jets from India.
Is Pakistan willing to go here?
It all depends upon it. This has been initiated by India. If India is ready to back down, they have taken the initiative. We have just responded. We have been saying all along in the last fortnight that we'll never initiate anything hostile towards India. But if we are attacked, we'll respond. If India backs down, we will definitely wrap up these things, But as long we are under attack, under fire, we have to respond. We have to defend ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Minister, is there any contact between yourself and the Indian side at the moment?
I'm not aware of it, I'm not aware of it. If there is contact normally during these hostile, activities and tensions. There are backdoor contacts available anywhere in the world. You know, there is, but I'm not aware of any contact.
What is going on, MR, right now? What happened? What do you mean? You got to be more specific.
You know what else is pretty traumatic? Being rounded up in the dead of night and getting shipped off to a country you've never been to before, David.
I didn't know that was happening. Is that what they're doing to the children of ICE soldiers?
No, that is not what they're doing to the children of ICE. It's what ICE agents are doing to the children of migrants. ICE agents are detaining and deporting children, and some of those are U.S. citizens.
Let's leave the children out of this, okay? They didn't ask their parents to work for ICE, so leave the children out of. Why do you hate children, Sam?
No, he's
for the
doing
most
a
part
bit.
love children, David. That's why
they're doing the like conservative bit thing they always do.
Between India and Pakistan at the moment, you know.
Pakistan now saying it shot down 5 Indian airplanes and destroyed multiple Indian checkpoints in retaliation to Indian military strikes early Wednesday. Pakistan's defense minister, who's also spoken to Bloomberg Television.
Wait a minute. Trump is getting pissed at Bibi? I don't want to be Lucy in the football. Trump cut ties with Netanyahu over manipulation concerns report. Okay, isn't this a Turkish website? Yeah, this is a Turkish website. So let's take it with a grain of salt. Said in a post on his X account that Trump made the decision after close associates told Israeli Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer the president believes that Netanyahu is manipulating him. There's nothing Trump hates more than being portrayed as a fool or someone being played. That's why he decided to cut contact with Netanyahu. Okay, well, let me know when it actually results in cutting support.
And now clarifying that no Indian soldiers have been taken prisoner. For more, let's bring in government reporter Sudhi Ranjan Sen in New Delhi. Sudhi, are we hearing anything from the Indian side about what's happening?
Well, from the Indian side, we've just, we are limited to just a statement that came out a couple of hours ago, which kind of said that India has struck inside Pakistan, and the targets were very, were non-civilian, non-military targets. They were restricted to targets which India believes had militants in it, or militant, targets used, places where militants were staying. That's the kind of targets that India has hit. That's the only statement that we have got from India. There has been no statement either denying or confirming the jets coming down, or earlier about soldiers, whether all soldiers who took part in the operations, whether they are all safe. Similarly, we also do not know whether in this operation, whether the Indian Navy was also used to strike targets inside Pakistan. So, there is kind of an information, there's a lack of information, so to say, from India, besides, apart from the very basic information that came out a few hours ago.
Sudhi, of course, India and Pakistan have a very long history of tension around the Kashmir region. Do previous conflicts offer any guide as to how we might find an off-ramp to this conflict?
People don't realize how cooked South Asian politics is right now? No, I realize. The United States of America is in a very difficult position because they're realizing that China is about to supersede the United States as a global superpower, or at least rise to the level of competition, peer competition. So when the United States slips from hyperpower status to superpower status against China also being a superpower, there's two ways to effectuate that change and conditions. And the U.S. is seemingly trying to find China number 2. Basically, the United States is announcing to the world, we will do to you what we did with China. We will build you up. We will, send American, companies there, and you'll build factories for us, and we will, share technology, and we'll build you up. So that offer is open to the world. The problem is there is no other state that can reasonably do what China did. The reason why China was able to develop in cooperation with the United States is because they had a communist party that had a firm control of the country. They were able to keep control of the country as it developed. No other state is stable like that. No other, India couldn't do it. India is racked with so many fucking problems that are intractable. They never had a social revolution. They never had, people shit talk Mao a lot, and they think the Cultural Revolution is terrible. And that's Cold War propaganda. There was a lot of problems with it, and there was a lot of excesses, but there was probably also a lot of things that were necessary to advance society within China. Like getting rid of a class of landlords who did nothing but just steal as much money as they could and doing land redistribution was probably necessary for China to be able to develop. Just like the way that the UK left feudalism was land enclosures, right? They kicked all the peasants off the land and sent them to the cities to go work in the factories. In order for capitalism to develop, the British had to do enclosures. They had to end the feudal form of production in the agricultural era. They had to have a population. They had to urbanize. It was all necessary, not necessary as in right or good, necessary as in the economic development, chain of economic development. India just doesn't have that. And plus, there's all sorts of like, you know, the caste system is just such a debuff. A society which like the caste system is just so damaging to India. It's unbelievable how bad it is for India. So I just don't ever see India climbing to a position like China. It's literally because the subcontinent never got independence. The British basically handed the subcontinent off to their elite cronies. So even the subcontinent has, no, you're totally right. You're totally right. I completely agree with you. Like some of the most, like for example, you guys remember the submarine implosion? The submarine implosion? Remember the submarine implosion? Like look who died in it. Let's see here. Who are the people that were killed? Where were they killed? This right here, Shahzada Dawood was literally, their family became wealthy because they were British collaborators. Like you can literally go back. You can literally go back. Ahmed Dawood was a Pakistani industrialist and philanthropist. Oh yeah, I bet. When he was 12, he was sent to stay with his maternal grandfather in South India. Over 2 years, he learned basic trade of cotton yarn, wheat, and grains. This is also his paid Wikipedia page. He started his own business at the age of hardly 15. Wow, this propaganda is amazing. When he was 18 or 19 years old, Ahmed was married to Ayesha Bai, a girl from his own community in a similar family background, in a match arranged by their families in the usual Indian way. I bet. His initial ventures in the spice trade ended in bankruptcy. Oh, damn. His strategy involved purchasing wholesale and selling retail. By 1933, he was in this firm was the biggest supplier of imported yarn to the textile mills in British India, with a special license granted by British colonial government. Do you see what I mean? Like this is, so the Titan submersible implosion. So one of the wealthiest billionaires, basically their family wealth comes from collaborating with the British Empire. And then the CIA. He was also involved with the CIA. And Dawood partnered with the American companies Hercules Inc. Hercules Inc. It was one of the major producers of smokeless powder for warfare in the United States. American military contractor. The point is that there was never a decolonialization of the subcontinent, whereas in China there was, because of the whole communist revolution thing. Comprador bourgeoisie, exactly.
Conflict.
Exactly.
Well, yes and no. No in the sense because every conflict is different. Every conflict has its own dynamics. Every conflict has different politics around it. And yes, because, you know, in the past we have seen government taking similar action, that is striking inside Pakistan. But those strikes were limited to disputed Kashmir, which both India and Pakistan claim simultaneously. Now, from what we are getting to understand, or from Pakistan, what we're getting to hear, it looks like there were some targets that were hit inside Pakistan. So where does that dynamic lead to? What kind of, you know, response comes from Pakistan is going to be the key question right now. India, of course, as I was, you know, kind of say, reporting from the earlier from the statement that we have seen, has very clearly said that it has stayed away. Indian strikes have stayed away, or, you know, not struck any civilian or military targets. So very clearly trying to, you know, not to escalate the entire tension that we see. But will that work? Not yet clear.
The rhetoric from the left needs to directly question the legitimacy of Pakistan and India states. I mean, I completely agree. I think the partition was so completely insane. Like, I don't. But where do we go from here? You know, at this point, and then this is America. God, our country is like, the world is so fucked. Holy shit.
Conflict in Kashmir tops our world lead today. Today, explosions and a total blackout in Jammu. an Indian-administered city in the hotly contested Himalayan region.
Right back.
While officials in Pakistan claim the military shot down Indian drones across the country and killed dozens of Indian soldiers near the line of control. This afternoon, Vice President Vance weighed in. Take a listen.
India has its gripes with Pakistan. Pakistan has responded to India. What we can do is try to encourage these folks to de-escalate a little bit, but we're not going to get involved in the middle of a war that's fundamentally none of our business.
We're going to cover this now from India and from Pakistan. CNN's Nick Robertson is in Islamabad, Pakistan. CNN's Matthew Chance is in New Delhi. Nick, you visited the line of control recently. You hiked into Kashmir. What is the situation on the ground right now?
Yeah, right now along that line of control, there's intense shelling. People are beginning to flee the border area, an exodus, as some of the locals there are describing it. So that's pretty hot, pretty active. J.D. Vance describing it as a war. That's going to sound right to those people here. In the rest of Pakistan, 29 drones over the past 24 hours came over from India. They went to Karachi in the south. 4 soldiers, 4 military personnel injured in Lahore. That's the massive city, 30 million people, just 13 miles from the border with India. And just down the road from here, 10 miles away in Rawalpindi, where there's a massive cricket tournament going on, Foreign Minister saying the stadium there was hit by one of those incoming missiles. The country's on edge. The schools are closed here in Islamabad tomorrow. Major exam across the country are being cancelled in Punjab, along the east of the country here, border with India, of course. Schools all closed there. So there's a real feeling that this is rolling on in a way that the country has not experienced before these drones. This is different. And as far as the sort of cross-border that Pakistani officials here are telling us about what the Indian government is saying on their side, they're saying India is mounting a phantom defense. So not just drones, not just rockets, not just artillery, not just gunfire, the war of words ratcheting up too.
And Matthew, Indian officials say schools in Punjab, just south of Kashmir, will be closed for the next 3 days. It sounds as though India and Pakistan are prepared for the possibility of even more escalation.
Yeah, it does sound like that. You're right. Schools in Punjab are going to be closed for the next few days, as are schools in Indian-administered Kashmir and universities as well. Also, the Indian government has cancelled all leave for civil servants in the country in preparation for what it says is a potential emergency response. And so that all gives that impression that the country is sort of bracing itself for further escalation within the past couple of hours. You mentioned it already, but you know, we were hearing these reports. We can't go there ourselves, unlike Nick over there in Pakistan. But we're hearing reports that the city of Jammu, which is one of the main cities in Indian-administered Kashmir, has been plunged into darkness. There have been explosions in the skies over the city. It's not quite clear what exactly has been going on, but there have been repeated drone strikes and aerial strikes against locations inside India, at least reported by the Indian authorities. India has since then accused Pakistan of striking 2 military bases in Indian-administered Kashmir and 1 in that neighbouring state of Punjab as well. And so, yeah, you're right. Look, tensions incredibly high on both sides of the border, Jake.
Back with more in our world lead and the conflict between India and Pakistan. And joining us now, Pakistan's ambassador to the U.S., Rizwan Saeed Sheikh. Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. So, U.S. Secretary of State.
Oh, basically, we have a really weird situation in the world where, okay, in the Cold War, India was more aligned with the Soviet Union, and Pakistan was paradoxically aligned with China and the United States, because India was very much in their feelings about China, right? They have an inferiority complex with China. And so the Soviet Union, because of the Sino-Soviet split, India and Russia were also kind of against China. And so those conditions have kind of, see how it's very complicated and weird, and it's not at all what you would expect? So Pakistan is actually quite friendly with China to counterbalance India. And so India and China have disputed territories near Tibet, and Pakistan and India have disputed territories in Kashmir. So China is not going to, and the United States also is not going to allow Pakistan to get too far behind, right? But the United States wants to get closer to India. while maintaining its relationship with Pakistan. So we're trapped in this situation of like continual fucking like so many different facets, so many different directions. Whereas Russia still sells weapons to India. So Russia is still friendly to India. So you have like all these different contradictory conflicts. And these are very powerful countries. You know, like India, Pakistan, China. This isn't fucking Sudan. This isn't Yemen. These are billions upon billions of people. This is nuclear weapons. This is real shit. This is like world-ending, dangerous world war shit.
State Marco Rubio spoke separately with top officials from India and top officials from Pakistan today. The State Department says Rubio told your Prime Minister, Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif, to, quote, take concrete steps to end any support for terrorist groups. This comes as India is accusing Pakistan of harboring terrorist groups.
Oh my God, they're so
what is your
dumb.
response?
Well, in this heavily securitized history of this region, where the two countries have actually fought 3 wars, and the history has expressed itself in a security idiom, you know, presumptuous pretexts like the Pahalgam attack having taken place from Pakistan without a shred of evidence, I think is preposterous. And nobody in this situation, in this region, which has a nuclear capability, wants to set a template of going for attacks, aggression, provocative aggression that has been taking place over past 48 hours, actually more, started by India, escalated by India. It's the 3rd night. Pakistan has exercised its right to self-defense. But basically, this is not the kind of simplified version of the security situation in the region that I think the world wants to see. So whatever has to be said has to be supported by evidence.
Yeah.
And Pakistan at the leadership level has certainly offered to conduct impartial inquiry, independent inquiry, neutral inquiry, and we would be participating in it.
So Pakistan has called for this investigation, as you note. There's this little-known militant group or terrorist group called the Resistance Front. It's linked to Islamist extremists, Lashkar-e-Taiba, and this group claimed responsibility for the attack on social media, though local reports also say they walked it back.
Could you provide me with sufficient rebuttal to someone who has claimed Pakistan is not a U.S. client state because they use Chinese weapons? They're a U.S. client state. Pakistan is a U.S. client state, but they also have a relationship with the Chinese, and they still buy weapons from the Chinese because they get access to high-quality weapons that are more affordable. So they buy American weapons, they buy American material, but they also buy Chinese material as well.
Do you know which group was responsible for the terrorist attack that killed 26 tourists on April 22nd in the Indian-controlled part of Kashmir?
Well, the 26 tourists killed in the Indian illegally occupied part of Jammu and Kashmir were basically an attack that took place 230 kilometers plus from the line of control. So we are asking for inquiry because we want to know. Why would we know? If had we known, why would we ask for inquiry? And just going ahead and exercising provocative aggression on an arch rival is something that Pakistan has bearing with a degree of restraint thus far. But as we were pointing out that we would not be the ones going for escalation, India did. Now the responsibility for de-escalation is on India, but there are constraints on restraint. Pakistan reserves the right to respond back. There is enough pressure from our public opinion on the government to respond, and respond we will, because this aggression has been going on now for too long.
Earlier today, CNN interviewed the Indian ambassador to the United States. Take a listen to what he said.
When we did this day before yesterday, our assumption was that we have completed what we set out to do ourselves vis-a-vis the terrorists. We, from our perspective, had brought a certain finality to it. But it was, of course, subject to whether Pakistan has brought finality to it. Pakistan chose to escalate it further. Now it's duty-bound for us to respond to that.
They say they were responding to the terrorist attack that killed 26
there is no situation like responding to the terrorist attack by attacking a sovereign country. Is that a template that the international community would want to set going forward? without
I'm just
any
saying what
evidence.
they say.
Yes, I mean, they can say what they want to say. But attacking Pakistan and expecting us to sit back like sacrificial lambs and not responding is something that they shouldn't even have thought of. And whatever is being done, it's the third night, has on each night been initiated by India. And Pakistan has only been responding in self-defense. Our civilians have been killed, 30 plus civilians, 57 plus casualties. What kind of terrorist infrastructure they were attacking? Civilian lives have been lost. Why did they attack a cricket field? Where is the terrorist infrastructure expected in a cricket field?
Is there any conversation going on at all between India and Pakistan right now?
I think there have been contacts at the level of NSAs, but then this escalation, both in terms of the actions that have been taken and in terms of the rhetoric that is coming out, has to stop. We do not expect lectures from a regime that is operating on the basis of Hindutva philosophy. I mean, that is preposterous. I mean, look at the record of India. They have hegemonistic designs for the region. Whatever they have been doing in Sri Lanka, in Nepal, why is that this is the only country which has problem with every other country in the region?
Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, says that Pakistan needs to, quote, take concrete steps to end any support for terrorist groups. You don't think you need to?
Well, what terrorist groups? Pakistan followed the FATF requirements. All those structures that were there have been dismantled with a degree of finality. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gotten out of the grey list under the FATF arrangement. So what, I mean, without evidence, how can just you finger point and then start an aggression in a nuclear neighborhood? How responsible is that? I mean, and what kind of precedent we are setting in this kind of a neighborhood situation?
Pakistan's ambassador to the United States, Rizwan Saeed Sheikh, we appreciate you coming here and taking our questions. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
My reaction to this is it's like, okay, there's a terrorist attack. India just immediately starting to bomb random places in Pakistan and cooking up a racially tinged response in their way of their rhetoric. It doesn't lead me to believe we're in a good place.
Tit for tat. So hopefully they can stop now. But I know both. We get along with both countries very well. Good relationships with both, and I want to see it stop. And if I can do anything to help, I will.
So is this also a proxy war between the U.S. and China? No, this is not a proxy war between the United States and China. This is actually the only war that I could think of in the world that wouldn't be. Like this is something that comes from a deep-seated nationalist division, and it's based on Hindutvan, far-right Indian politics, and you have this, fascistic Pakistani military dictatorship, all with their own nationalist calculus, and there is legitimate division because of a long-term repression of Muslims within India. You have a disputed region that is being attempted to be colonized by the Indian government. I mean, I'm not saying Pakistan is right on Kashmir, but what India is doing to Kashmir is clearly a settler strategy, and I don't think you can't break it down to just like, oh, it's China versus America. No, this is like a deep-seated division that is substantive between two other countries. Is the U.S. part of this? Is China part of this? Yes, absolutely. But it is not something that you can just break down as simply as that. And honestly, it's one of the most dangerous places in the world because of that. If it was just a U.S.-China proxy war, then there would be nothing to worry about because it would only be brinksmanship. But because it's based on these deep-seated feelings and racial theories and alternative nationalisms, we're talking, this is the type of stuff that people cause devastating fucking wars over that kill millions. That's why people are constantly concerned about this as a possible point that could spiral. And I don't think you guys should underestimate the danger of a Modi being humiliated here and escalating to save face.
Welcome back. That was President.
If the war actually started, who do you think America would support? I think the United States would do exactly what it always does, which is try to profit and try to gain advantage. That being said, I don't think the United States would want this war. I actually don't even think the United States would want this war at all, because it literally makes India and Pakistan, two countries that are very important for the United States long-term plans to counter China, more unstable and dangerous. Like, you can't use India as our new, like, you know, manufacturer of the world if it's involved in a fucking devastating, possibly nuclear war with Pakistan. Like, the United States wants India to be a closer ally so we could use it to counterbalance China. That's like the long-term plan. The long-term plan of American hawks is to forge closer ties with India and Russia. That's the... So, okay, hold on. The right-wing hawks of the Trump administration, Republican right-wing hawks, want to form a closer relationship and have a detente with Russia and pull Russia away from China. Left-wing blobbers want to, forge a stronger European Union against Russia and China, right? So it depends on which part of the spectrum you are, which kind of hawk you are in America, whether you want Russia to cleave from China or you want to strengthen the European Union. Now, the right-wingers in America think of the European as woke and gay, so they don't want to ally with the Europeans. They want to, like, pull China in to do a fucking fossil fuel axis, I guess, with Saudi Arabia, Russia, and the United States. Like, that's the right-wing plan. But India is nonetheless very important for American foreign policy, no matter where in the blob you find yourself, Democrat or Republican. So I don't think the United States was India in wars, man. I just don't think they want that. Maybe I'm being naive, but I just don't see how it makes any sense. I will never understand how humanity tolerates these insane, mass-murdering, egomaniac babies, Modi, Trump, in charge of their destiny. I mean, there's a lot of reasons for it. The number one reason being that it allows us to stay divided and keep the bourgeois in power.
Trump today responding to questions about the mounting tensions between India and Pakistan, which escalated dramatically overnight as India launched missile strikes on Pakistan 2 weeks after a deadly militant attack on tourists in the Indian-administered Kashmir region. Massive explosions could be seen and heard in Pakistan as India's army launched its strikes targeting what it described as terrorist infrastructure. Pakistan says 26 people were killed and 46 others were injured, calling the attack an act of war. Pakistan also claimed it shot down 5 Indian fighter jets, though India has not responded to that claim and vowed its own retaliation. The two nuclear-armed countries have a long history of tensions and war, but the latest clashes have been some of the deadliest they have seen in decades. Joining me now is Ravi Agrawal, editor-in-chief of Foreign Policy magazine. Thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. Let's dive into what is at the root of these tensions. Can you help people understand how this began and why it's escalating right now?
Gosh, well, the roots go back all the way to the founding of these two countries in 1947. The most proximate recent cause, as you said, was April 22nd, this big militant attack in Indian-administered Kashmir. There are two Kashmirs. There's an Indian-administered one. There's a Pakistani-administered one. Both countries claim all of Kashmir. This has been an uneasy stalemate basically since 1948, when the two fought a war over it. They've since fought many wars over it and also had other clashes over it. But since they became nuclear powers in the 1990s, Kristen, those clashes have often been less intense, and there's been a greater likelihood of de-escalation, in part because of nuclear deterrence.
Why did you time out this guy? Why is this a timeout video? What's wrong? Is he just spamming these videos? Okay. Gotcha. Okay, it's just some guy spamming.